the wild. Misery is still a path I would choose if the alternatives are worse. I guess it's time to find a friend, one who will stick by to the end. Going out of my mind in the middle.
This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free. Sorry, y'all. My bad. I was running my mouth in the chat. It's good to see y'all. Thank you for being here. Wolfpack, Edith, Southern Cats, Lori Ann, Overrun with Cats. Good to see you and nice to meet you. I like that name. Are you overrun with cats? Are you? Cara, good to see you. What's going on with Lori Ann? Southern Cats, Lola's mom, good to see you. Hannah UK, good to see you. I just don't like myself. What did you do? Oh, that's just this side. It's a lot of kids missing. It's really sad. Tanya in the D, good to see you. Miss Woozy. Oh my gosh. It was crazy last week. Everything got crazy and it's just getting worse. Hey Kelly, good to see you. Snarky Pants, good to see you. Thank you for being here, everybody. Soups 3.99, good to see you, and thank you for being here. Monica, thank you for being here. Stephanie, thank you for being here, and it's good to see you. These nuts, good to see you. Angela, good to see you. Peaches McClure, good to see you, and thank you for being here. I do appreciate it. Madeline, good to see you. Leslie Atkins, good to see you. Atkins, you're Akins. Akins, not Atkins. I'm thinking of Susan Atkins, Squeaky From, Manson. Atkins and Manson is connecting in my head. One of the followers had the last name Atkins. Blue Jay, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Miss Scorpio Rising, almost missed you. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. We got quite a few things to talk about. Lola's mom, thank you so much for the super sticker. Let me get out of this chat where I was running my daggum mouth and get into mine and see what it says. That was so very sweet and supportive of you. I got a FOIA request back today because I told y'all I had been putting them in. This one I paid $34 for. Look at the it's got a circle like a emoji with the crazy eyes. That is me about 90% of the time. I love that super sticker. Thank you. That is perfect for me. It's definitely me about 90% of the time. Jenny, Jen, and Kat, good to see you. Thank you for being here. And Cindy from sunny South Florida. Kathleen, good to see you. So okay. There's a case. It's a real bad case. Like the feds were involved. I'm not going to tell you the name of the case, but they basically hit me back and they were like, case is still open. And I was like, well, it went to court. Like, how is it still open? But okay. I said, in the Madeline Soto case, I was able to get information on that case before Stephen Stearns pled guilty. I said, I understand that that's not your county, but is there any way I could still get some of the information early that could be redacted? I said, after, he pled guilty, I was able to get unredacted. And she said, we'll see. And then she gave me an invoice for like $34.24. Well, I went that day because my live went down. I went that afternoon, Monday, I think it was, at like 4 o'clock. I got to the post office and sent the money off, and it was going to get there today, and I just got a thing that said the case, like my request is closed, but there's no items there. So I said, okay, well, because she said she had to ask a deputy if I could get the files. So I don't know. I sent the money, and they said that the case is closed, or my request is closed, but not the case. My request is closed, but there's nothing in there. So I emailed back and said, is there going to be files in there? So I'm waiting on that. If I get files back, hopefully we can talk about that tomorrow. I got to figure out how to make it look good too, because like, hey, Kalisa Cats, you know how like Law and Crime will put this stuff out and it'll be like a storyline from different body cam video points. You know what I mean? I got to figure out how to incorporate like 4 different body cams and make it into a storyline. I think that would be cool. Like I see things every time I go live. Hey, Dandy Lioness. That I think about things and do things and see things, and I'm like, I could have done that better. I need to do this like this next time. This needs to be improved on, all of the things. And so I'm always trying to work on it and make things better for you guys. All right, so I found something last night that was really groundbreaking for me. I get these shorts, and I found a lot of really information, a lot of really interesting information in them. And there's one in particular I want to share with y'all today because um I wanted to yeah, I wanted to share it with you today. Hold on, let me find it. I think we're going to do the cost of pleasing adults today. It might be this one that I wanted to do, how to get your child to listen the first time. I think it's this one. So we're going to watch this one today, just so you get like some actual information that you could grow on and build upon. So let's do that one today. How to get your child to listen the first time.
If you tell a child to do something 5 times, your chance of abusing that child just went up significantly. If you have the expectation they'll do things the first time, it's like, Caitlin, I want you to take out the trash, like in the next half hour. If she doesn't, it's like, sweetheart, you
Hey,
have
Abraham.
a choice. You can take it out now, or you can have this consequence and then you can take it out. I don't care. It's up to you. And she's getting that consequence if she doesn't move. Like, stop threatening them and then not following through. Because you teach them that you have to tell them and get angry and be a bit crazy in order for them to do what you ask them to do.
Wow, so your brain doesn't really know the difference.
I'll play this one and one more since it started on this one. I found that interesting because I found myself saying, you're going to get in trouble if you don't do this, and then my kids don't do it, and then I don't follow through, and that could be why they don't listen as well. This is pretty interesting too.
Wow, so your brain doesn't really know the difference between, say that again?
Between something that happened in real life or something that you strongly visualize.
So you could create enough of a visualization for yourself if you really were to powerfully start to focus on it and do that, that your brain at one point would have to think it's so true that the world would meet you and put it into your life.
I love the way you put that.
Wow.
13 News at 9.
Nope. We're not doing news at 9 yet. There's one more that I really wanted to play for y'all.
And if you're a good parent, you're going to frustrate your 2-year-old. And I don't mean deliberately. I just mean when they want a cookie before dinner, you're not going to give them a cookie. You're going to say, no cookie before dinner. If he's a healthy 2-year-old, they're going to throw a tantrum because they're frustrated. But then you read Jordan Peterson's book, and he says an angry child should be made to sit by themselves so they come back to normal. It's not normal for a kid to be angry. So the kid gets the message. If I'm going to experience my genuine self, I'm going to lose my attachment. Now guess what the kid's going to give up? The attachment or the authenticity? But only 100% of the time, it's the authenticity. Because without the attachment, they can't live. But then authenticity becomes a threat. So the kid becomes afraid of their true selves. Because if I'm being myself, they won't like me. They'll reject me. They'll even hurt me. And then, of course, the culture rewards you. Oh, you're such a good kid. You're always compliant. You're always so nice. You're always so pleasant. What a pretty little girl, always pretty. In other words, we praise kids for pleasing us. So the reward is the attachment. And we don't care about the child's inner experience. So then we give ourselves up just in order to be accepted. So it's that simple. And then you grow up and you're 30 or 40 and you're 50 saying, who the hell am I anyway? And whose life am I living? And why am I behaving in these ways?
I thought that was so profound. That one right there really was like, wow, that was very profound to me. Okay. So with that, we'll get started. I just wanted to share those with y'all. I find these little things, I don't know, I'll be scrolling through the internet before I go to bed, which I probably should not do. Let's get into it. Mine's a Corso and likes to argue back. Y'all are cute with the dogs. Always have to follow through, so never threaten anything you won't do. It's always worked for me. Yep. Hey, Scratch. Good to see you. And I saw Abraham came in. It's good to see you. Okay. Why? No, we're not going to go on that one. I've got a couple of updates, several things I want to talk to y'all about, actually. Okay, we'll start with Emmanuel Haro. There are some updates we need to talk about with that. Let me get it pulled up. Hold on. Okay, I saw this. Do we have a video? We might have a video. Hold on. Gotta wait for the freaking advertisements. Hey, Bethina. Parenting is hard, and I'm always trying to be a better parent and a better YouTube creator. Y'all, I was watching how to give motivational speeches. I don't know. I'm trying. I'm trying to be the best that I can be to make the channel grow and just to be better in general, because this is not something that I ever saw myself doing. So it's all kind of new.
Of Vanessa, does this cousin of Vanessa Avila believe the story that the Harrows are telling on TV in this clip right here, where she says, I was hit in the head, I woke up, the baby was gone.
No.
Please help me find the baby. The cousin doesn't believe it.
Absolutely not.
Well, that's not what it presented as on Facebook, because it sure did seem like she believed it on Facebook. The article reads, DA dishes Emmanuel Haro. Officials slam distractions from case and insist they pushed for dad Jake to be jailed for previous case. So the DA is saying basically, oh, we pushed for him to be jailed and all of that. But again, if they'd have come with the right charges, then we wouldn't have had this issue. The judge would have only had the option to give him life with the possibility of parole, because the charges would have been correct. And I'll have to locate my notebook, but it's like causing great bodily harm to somebody under the age of 8 years old. If those charges had been, if he had been charged with that, then there would have been no choice but to give him the possibility of life with the life with the possibility of parole. Try different things is how a channel grows and one finds their niche. Yeah, I'm always trying different things. Okay, it reads, the California man accused of the homicide of a 7-month-old son should never have been let out of jail in the first place, officials admitted. However, prosecutors slammed the public for spreading, quote, misinformation, unquote, that might distract from the case of little Emmanuel Haro, whose body has still not been recovered. That was September 4th court date, where he appeared in court, sorry. There's the Riverside County District Attorney, Mike Hestron, and it was from his office that the charges came out of, so it was his office where they were not correct. Excuse me. It says, Jake Haro, Emmanuel's dad, pled guilty in 2018 to abusing his newborn daughter so severely that she was left permanently disabled. He received a suspended sentence and was ordered to serve 180 days in a work release program and probation. Jake, who was 32 years old, allegedly violated his parole in 2024 and was jailed briefly before posting bail. Emmanuel hadn't been born at the time. Now Jake and his wife, 41-year-old Rebecca Haro, have been charged with the homicide of their son and trying to cover it up. They pled not guilty. Since Jake's disturbing criminal history came to light, court officials have found backlash. Court officials, I apologize. I gotta do. I don't know why the air is blowing hot. Okay. Court officials have faced backlash, claiming Emmanuel would still be alive if Jake had been properly sentenced to jail time in 2023. Now the district attorney's office of Riverside County has called out a significant amount of misinformation about Jake's previous criminal case, because the DA already agreed at the time that he should have been locked up. don't lose sight. In a lengthy statement released on Thursday, the DA's office clarified that they strongly opposed Jake's probation at the time, but that their hands had been tied because of his plea deal. Quote, "We made this objection in open court and on the record. Our objection was made based on seriousness of the injuries Mr. Haro inflicted on his then 10-week-old daughter," the statement said. The little girl, who was adopted by her mom's family members, was left permanently blind, unable to walk or talk, and with only 3% brain function. The DA's office slammed the judge's decision as inappropriate use of discretion. However, they urged the public to stay focused on securing justice for Emmanuel rather than focusing on past rulings. Quote, "Our office's primary focus remains providing justice for baby Emmanuel," prosecutors said. "It is essential that we do not lose sight of who is truly responsible for the loss of life at issue in this case, and focus our time and energy on ensuring justice for baby Emmanuel." Unquote. This isn't the first time that officials have slammed the ruling to let Jake go free. There's the timeline, and there's where he called it outrageous and said if the judge had done his job, Emmanuel would be alive today. Excuse me. Then they talk about searching for Emmanuel. I've tried to locate this letter from the DA. I'm going to try one more time before we go to our recap of the court case. Miss Woozy said, our opinion has zero effect on the case. They only care what the public thinks because this all makes them look really inept. I agree. And I think they are. Again, if they'd have charged them correctly, we wouldn't be here. Anita Blackstone, good to see you, and thank you for being here. And thank you for hitting the thumbs up. I greatly appreciate that. Yes, Brenda, good to see you. Hit the like if y'all don't mind. I would greatly appreciate that. It helps the channel get out in the algorithm. Dandelion said Jake is responsible, but so are they. Exactly. That's the issue. The judge would not have been able to make that ruling if he had been charged properly, in my opinion. 1X. There it is. SF Investigates has it. Let me upload it so I can. Nope. Can't zoom in. All right. So this is the Riverside County District Attorney news release from Mike Hestron, the district attorney. It says more than 1,000 case dismissals countywide. Countywide, over the past 10 weeks, Riverside County Superior Court judges have dismissed more than 1,000 criminal court cases. Hold on. I got a question. Okay, I was wondering, like, you know how you go to court and you'll have a traffic violation and they'll say, oh, you don't have insurance on your car. And then you go to court and you get insurance on your car by the time you have your court date, and they dismiss the case. So I was wondering, in California, if you had a traffic violation, was it a criminal case? It says no. So I'm assuming that, I mean, you're talking about like 1,000 cases. That could be anything from trespassing. Like I've seen people that weren't in the right state of mind, and they get trespassing charges for going to Dollar General and showing their ass, to the Dollar General and showing their ass. Okay. And then it'll get dismissed in court because, they come and show that they're on the proper medications and they were just having a lapse in judgment or something to that effect at the time. Two people get in a fight. They come to court, we apologize for fighting. We shouldn't have done that. And, everything's good now. And the judge dismisses the case. I mean, I would like more information on the 1,000 cases that were dismissed. Are we talking about things like that? Or are we talking about, like, first-degree homicide, which I highly doubt, child abuse? Like, what are we talking about? I need more information. Carr said the DA came out and pretty much said that it's not their fault. They told the judge no. However, they the DA didn't need to accept the plea deal, according to another streamer. That's another good point. I think at that point they would have had to say, because you know how, like, when you look at a court case, though, it'll say, they'll go over the plea deal. They'll say, we accepted the plea deal with the defense, and we're ready to go to court. We suggest, 6 years in prison, et cetera, et cetera. And I think at that moment the judge was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this instead. But again, I mean, they should have charged him correctly. If they agreed to the sentence, then yeah, they should be in trouble. The sentence per the plea deal. He should have never been allowed to walk the streets ever again for what he did. I agree. Hey, Carolina. I didn't even realize you were here until Miss Woozy said your name. I feel the same. Lots of cuss words floating around in my head about it. What did Carolina say? Oh, good to see you. I think you were just saying hey to everybody there. Yeah, I missed your comment. Okay. Kim, good to see you. What about holding him on probation violation for the firearm he got charged with 16 fucking times? Like, there was a lot of chances to keep this from happening. Carolina said Jake Haro's attorney is blaming it on his dysfunctional parents. I've known parents who have been raised worse and are awesome parents. Yeah, I don't want to hear that. Because there's parents out here that have done real bad, horrific things to people, and they would never, ever repeat the actions of their parents. I believe a lot of these slap on the wrist in the last 4 or 5 years have been political. There could be a political aspect to it. I think not this case in particular, but the allowing people to get away with more crimes than they were previously allowed to. But I don't want to get into the political side of that. This news release continues. In October, the court stated that 2,800 pending cases were set for trial. As of December 16th, there are about 2,200 backlogged cases, and Superior Court judges have dismissed 1,098 criminal matters. Again, I need more information on that. You're talking about a statistic as a whole when you can't do that. Like, you got to give more information on the criminal cases for me to try to have your side on this. On October 10th of 2022, Riverside County Superior Court judges started to dismiss criminal cases based on a lack of available trial courtrooms. Case dismissals continue to occur daily across the county. These cases are both misdemeanor and felony cases and include nearly all types of crimes. About 83 felony cases have been dismissed so far. Felony cases dismissed include charges such as attempted homicide, assault with a deadly weapon, sex crimes, child abuse, domestic violence, and more. Many of the dismissed cases include a victim of a crime. That's really bad if that's legitimately happening because of a lack of available trial courtrooms. I feel like we could figure something out. I mean, they're backlogged and overworked. Yeah, we need to get a bigger courthouse or more trial spaces available for trial. I don't know. It's really, really bad, though. I'll agree with that. Here in Florida, if you're on probation and get arrested, you sit with no bond until you see the judge, which takes a while. They need to make that everywhere. Hey, Kimmy C123. Hey, Heather Ann. I love when you're live when I'm at work. Keeps me entertained for sure. Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad you're here. Hey, wow. He should have been charged with attempted homicide. I agree. A violation is a violation. He should be held with no bond, said Kelly. I agree. Instead, it was continued 16 freaking times. The 83 felony cases, like, such as attempted homicide, assault with a deadly weapon, sex crimes, child abuse, domestic violence, and more have been dismissed. That's a problem. But my rebuttal to that would be like, okay, were they charged correctly? what level felony are they charged with? Is it a class A, B, or C? I mean, I don't see it being very easy to dismiss an attempted homicide case. I don't. It says, quote, our office respectfully disagrees with the decisions the judge continued to make regarding mass case dismissals. A one-size-fits-all approach of blanket case dismissals is not the answer, said DA Mike Hestron. Quote, we are continuing to ask the bench to look at each case individually to determine if there is a good cause to continue the matter until a courtroom becomes available. I mean, I think that that's a good idea. If they're being charged with the correct charge, and then, continue it until there's a courtroom available. But even the former DA talked about, continuing his probation 16 times. That's going to fall into that category. And it's a 20-minute hearing. Like, at any time we could have had that 20-minute hearing and done the case. Like, maybe they should start going through these cases, and then at the end of the day, if there's still people left over, say, all of your cases are continued until, a couple of days down the road, the end of the week or something, and just start going through each one and get it done. Heather Ann, thank you so much for becoming a member. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so very much. I will grab the crazy train to pick you up on the way to Speculation Station.
I'm going off the rails on a crazy train.
Thank you so much, Heather Ann. That was so very sweet and supportive of you. I greatly appreciate it. Anita said, is it that the court system there and the courts in general is just short-staffed, or are the judges too soft and let people get away with harsh and serious crimes too? Probably a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both if we're talking about California, honestly. I should have a join button. I'll check it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Heather, for renewing it. I should have a join button, Brenda. I'll check it and make sure. I think Abraham sent me an email. I haven't seen it yet because I try to check my email. But I'll look into that. It continues, quote, 1,000 cases dismissed. It's 1,000 too many. Hestron continued. These are real cases with real victims. The victims deserve the right to have their case heard in a court of law. Our victims of crime are being deprived justice because of case backlog in the courts. I mean, that's a serious problem, and I could see that for the state of California. If it's the county of Riverdale in general, I don't know. I don't know what you could do to like decrease population in that area, or I mean, you'd have to make a bigger courthouse or a bigger area, more trial rooms. You got to make sure these victims get justice. So yeah, that's a problem, and I could see it being a problem in the state of California. But the problem with that case in particular is that he wasn't charged correctly. So again, I mean, if he's charged correctly, there would have been no option to give him that sentence. The DA's office is taking every available action to safeguard our community, such as arguing the dismissals in court, immediately refiling felony cases that are being dismissed, and filing appeals when appropriate. Misdemeanor cases that are dismissed cannot be refiled. So it's good to know that they're refiling felony cases that are being dismissed and filing appeals when appropriate. I think that's about the only thing they can do. But again, that's not the issue here. The issue with Jake Haro is he wasn't charged correctly. Sinners and Secrets. Okay. Thank you for that. Hey, Mayla's mom. I will definitely check. Thank you, Abraham, again, for letting me know how to do that. The DA's office is committed to keeping the public informed regarding this public safety crisis, and will continue to periodically release updated information regarding case dismissals as that information becomes available. I mean, I think that's all they can do, but again, I would ask that they charge people correctly. And that's a December 22 news release from Riverside County District Attorney highlighting his office concern over judges dismissing more than 1,000 cases in just 10 weeks, including 83 felony cases. I thought that was recent. So it's from December 19th of 2022. Interesting. Let's hope the DA, Mike Hestron, gets famous also. In 2018, Hestron put on paperwork willful child cruelty, PC code 273A, subsection A. Stupid how words on papers can ruin someone's little life. Hestron also filed the homicide charges in 2025. What a ass. I agree. Mike is your go-to Moreno, OG for IT help, PC builds, and more. What? Please check out his listings there or DM if you need IT help. I think that might be a spam. Is this the new one? Regarding... It's cut off on the side, but this one says a statement to the media and our community members regarding the Jake and Rebecca Haro case. We understand how deeply the community and the media care about baby Emmanuel and are eager for information about the case. We share your desire for justice and your desire for transparency. However, there has been a significant amount of misinformation circulating in the media and on social media, which can be confusing and frustrating for everyone. Please know that we are committed to providing accurate information. Also, please understand that we are bound by legal and ethical responsibilities that prevent us from sharing detailed case information publicly. These responsibilities are in place to avoid making statements that could influence the case, prejudice the fairness of the court proceedings, or impede the goal that we all share, justice for baby Emmanuel. We kindly ask for your patience and understanding and to trust that the accurate facts will be shared through the appropriate official updates in due time. Spreading false information or rushing to conclusions can unintentionally hinder the investigation and impact the court proceedings, which are essential to receiving justice. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. I don't know, man. I would just say again, charge them correctly and we don't got to worry about it, do we? Hannah said the backlog explains why they are so willing to offer bullshit deals, in my opinion. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Okay. So, if you didn't know, they had court this week, and we're going to read an article on that. And then we're going to go to Mark's page, and I'm going to drop his links because he was in the courtroom, and he does a really good job with describing how it is in the courtroom. And, you know, he's very good, like, at just being descriptive when he's being in the courtroom. Hey, Jada. I don't know why I'm highlighting my comments, but I looked that up. I heard something yesterday about her being pregnant. I haven't seen anything yet. I did look it up and I haven't seen anything, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not able to find the information to verify it either. Hold on just a minute. Okay, baby Emmanuel's parents appear in court as attorneys work toward possible plea agreement. Oh, wow. Imagine that. Are you fucking shitting me? Didn't they say that they weren't going to go with a plea agreement? Didn't they promise us that they weren't going to do that? We would rather blame social media than admit we messed up. Yep, that's exactly what they were saying, Miss Woozy. I did hear that, Jada. I think it was clickbait. Yeah, I haven't been able to verify it. It says Riverside County, California. The parents of baby Emmanuel Haro of Cabazon appeared in court on Tuesday. Tuesday's felony settlement conference in Riverside was the first step as prosecutors and defense attorneys explore resolving the case through a possible plea agreement. In the meantime, their infant son remains missing. Emmanuel was reported missing on August 14th. His parents were arrested in the baby's death and pled not guilty on September 4th. Quote, the filing in this case reflects our belief that Emmanuel was abused over time and that eventually, because of the abuse, he succumbed to those injuries. That is what we believe, Mike Hestron said at the time. The child's parents were taken into custody last month following a multi-agency investigation into the disappearance and presumed death of their baby son. It began August 14th when Rebecca said she was attacked and the baby was kidnapped in the Big Five parking lot in Yucaipa. Questions were raised after authorities said there were inconsistencies in the parents' stories, leading them to search their Cabazon home multiple times before they were arrested and charged. Okay, I guess that's all for that one. Let's see.
New details as investigators keep up their search for baby Emmanuel in the Inland Empire. This roughly 2 weeks after he was reported missing. Thanks again for joining us here on ABC 7 Hulu.
I think this is an older one, but we can watch it anyway.
Wherever you stream, I'm David Ono.
And I'm Giovanna Latta. Now the baby's father is speaking out from his jail cell. Investigators claiming the baby died from child abuse, even though no remains have been found.
A search off Highway 60 turned up nothing. Inland Empire reporter Leticia Juarez has been following the case from the beginning and now joins us live. Leticia.
Well, David and Giovanna, Jake Haro is speaking publicly for the first time since his arrest last week in a jailhouse interview with the Southern California News Group. But in that interview, he would not say what part, if any, he played in his son's disappearance.
You didn't miss much, Holly.
The search for 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro continues as his parents, Jake and Rebecca Haro, sit in jail charged with his murder.
Baby Emmanuel was abused, victim of child abuse over time, and that eventually, because of that abuse, he succumbed to those injuries.
Yesterday, San Bernardino and Riverside County law enforcement briefed the public on the case. On the same day, Jake Haro gave a jailhouse interview to the Southern California News Group, denying Emmanuel was abused.
If that's really what you believe, Mr. DA, then do something about it. Charge him correctly this time, please.
He acknowledged the public's outrage, saying, God is with us. The allegations are horrendous. So, of course, people are going to be riled up. But,
ma'am, sir, you are no, who was it? Anne Boleyn, innocent and beheaded, allegedly innocent. You're no Anne Boleyn. You're no Catherine. You're no, you're not innocent. Even if we just want to talk about what he did to Carolina Rose, later renamed Promise, you're not innocent in any way, shape, or form. I think he's beating the women, beating the children, just beating everybody, and I hope he gets his ass beat while he's in there.
Investigators say Emmanuel's August 14th abduction from a Yucaipa parking lot was fabricated.
There's a tremendous amount of evidence that suggests that the initial story posed was not the correct story.
Following their arrest, it appeared investigators were closing in on Emmanuel's remains when Jake Haro accompanied deputies with cadaver dogs to a remote area off the 60 freeway just east of Moreno Valley. But
Graham Cracker, good to see you and thank you for being here. Carolina said, I think that they were referring to Jake's former plea deal. Riverside DA said, absolutely no deals. Interesting to say the least. I hope that there's no deals in this case. I hope not. And like Mark told us last time, they have to have that meeting to see if they can reach a plea deal. But they said there was going to be no plea deal. So hopefully they didn't reach one. It's good to see you, Grandma Crocker. Measles.
That search yielded nothing.
So was that just him just trying to divert the attention as to where he really went?
Moses Castillo is a private investigator and a retired LAPD detective. He says without Emmanuel's body, prosecutors may face challenges.
One of the charges that I hope that they consider adding is child abuse causing death. But the reason why it's so important to have that charge is that without a body, you're not going to get a true cause of death or manner of death.
The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department is leading the investigation with Riverside County. Their goal, justice for baby Emmanuel.
You know, if he's in the landfill we need, I mean, regardless of where he's at, we need to find his body because, yeah, you've got to be able to prove that he was abused over a long period of time. And I don't know how you would do that without the body, unless you can do it from the pictures, but it's going to be a hard case to prove. And if they put up money for a good defense, the case could be up in the air, unless that blood that's in the house comes back as Emmanuel's. But then, I mean, that just proves one event, not several events over a long period of time that lead to his death ultimately. So, I mean, that's a good point. Without the body, we're going to have trouble proving the case.
A no-body homicide is always difficult, but it's a little different when you're talking about an infant.
Now, both the Haros will be back in court next Thursday. They're being held on $1 million bail. Their arraignment is set for that Thursday, in which.
And we have seen the arraignment, or we didn't see it. We talked about the arraignment. And then that hearing today, or the other day, Tuesday. Hold on. Lord have mercy. We're going to talk about that now. Now we're going to go back to my playlist. Hold on just a minute. All right, I'll pull it up. So Mark was present in the courthouse, and I'm going to go over his live stream. Right here, trip to Riverside Hall of Justice courthouse recap from Mark the Shark. Hold on, I got to show y'all something. Every single time I go to Mark the Shark's page, this song gets stuck in my head. Every single time I say his name. Hold on a minute. Every single time. Every single time I talk about him, that song gets stuck in my head. All right. So we're going to go to courthouse recap. I was looking at it earlier, and I thought I had it where it started. He shows this thing, which I find pretty interesting. I think that's live from the courthouse where he's outside, because he was outside. I'm going to share his link. So that you guys can go subscribe if you have not, because he does a really good job. And I'm sure he did a really good job this time. So it stays the same pretty much. It just shows people walking up until about this point. Hold on.
That's the way it is. So today, I'd like to explain to you how to be okay. I'm not here that you die. I'm not here to preach religion. I'm not here to preach you're a better person. Nothing wrong with
What is this? What is going on here? Hey, Becky P. What's going on there? Oh my God. I got a clip for that. Oh my God. What is going on out there?
He picked me up and we were going to Mama's work. Mama's window was busted.
What happened? Who did it?
A crackhead.
A crackhead. Oh. What's up with the high-pitched voice like this? Sound like Michael Jackson. No, I really think that man needs some mental health. Miss North, I don't know. I don't know. Hey, brown-eyed butterfly. I don't know. Outside the courthouse for Jake and Rebecca Haro, evidently. Please make sure y'all go give Mark a like and subscribe. Very interesting. Okay. What? What? The heck? I got another clip.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Y'all, I don't know. All right. So here's where he
Just
starts
didn't
talking
like
about
that,
it.
and he just told him to shut up, and
Hold on.
yeah.
I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. I sped it up a little bit. You can tell that poor baby's head, he laid down a lot. Yeah. Mickey Mouse after Minnie just caught him with Daisy Duck. I like that one. I like that one.
I don't know. He just, because I saw him in the morning and he was just pacing back and forth. I got there early as usual. And
No.
the guy in the leather jacket telling the other guy to shut up was, he was, I don't know, he was there early too for a court date and he was just talking to himself. So I was like, all right, I'm going to keep an eye out for him. I don't know what's going to happen. You just never know. And so I kept an eye out for him, and I was in line, and he the line starts forming. And so he comes up and he's like, I was here first. And I didn't say anything. I just was like, whatever, go for it. You want to be first? Go ahead. I don't care. It ain't nothing to me. So the Jake and Haro case. So go ahead, So I let him go, and that's when the other guy starts talking. The guy he's preaching. He has like a banner. It says like heaven or hell. You got to repent. And so the guy, he has like a microphone, like a headset, and he starts like saying like the word of God, and you got to repent your sins and this and the other. And so this guy next to me, he just didn't like that, and he just told him to shut up. And yeah, I don't know. They just started going at it like for a good minute. And this was early in the morning too, like 7 in the morning, 6:45 or something like that. I was like, dang man, this is too much.
Crackheads. I need him to put chapters in.
Yeah, this time I took it off early,
and skip it ahead.
And that way I didn't have to take it off when I was in line, like inside. So I told the guy last time, I was like, hey, can you just like wave the wand? And he's like, no, you can have like contraband, this and that. And I was like,
hey,
fine.
Parabola.
So I did that. We go to the 6th floor. I'm the first person there, as always, early bird. And we sit down. There's like, people start coming in, people start filtering in. And I sit down next to this girl, this lady, and she's very, very knowledgeable. Man, I wish I would have got her information, because she was in jail, and she was like recounting her history and her experience in jail. But she was very humbling. She changed. She turned her life around. Now she talks to her daughter, things like that. So it was really like interesting to hear her side and her perspective about being in jail, and questions about protective custody. Of what do you think Rebecca's experience is in there? What do you think is going on behind the scenes? And she kind of painted a picture of it, of that. So I wanted to go.
So he's going to tell us about that and more. Miss North said, maybe it's a diaphragm or lung issue. I was very sick for quite a while, and I talked like that for a while. I had to whisper rant. That would be hard. Good to see you, Parabola. I hope not. I don't know if it's a diaphragm thing or what, but it's kind of hard to sit there and argue with somebody that's talking like that. If I'm being honest, I would probably just laugh and walk away and say, all right, man, have a good day.
Over that too. I thought that was pretty interesting, and it gave me an insight of what might the experience be inside and what kind of goes on behind the scenes. So those kind of things are interesting to me. It's just an avenue, and we can talk about that. So she was, so she was in jail. And again, I'm going to see if I can try to get her information. Maybe I can bring her on and interview her, because she was really interesting, real interesting person. And so she sat next to me, and then, more TikTokers came. And so there wasn't as many people there as there was last time. Same with media. And I guess because of, it was, going to get extended, which was a rumor too, that it was going to get extended. But she was talking about how you know, what her life is. And about the pregnant, yeah, I've heard that rumor too. Not in the courtroom. When you go in the courtroom, there's like TikTokers there, and they know what's up, like, and they didn't say anything about her being pregnant, Rebecca. And so I thought that was interesting, like hearing that, you know, today everywhere that, you know, she might be pregnant. And now here, like, you know, that was the question. So I personally don't know, but they would know. I know they would know for sure. Like, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't get past me that she is pregnant, but I don't know. And those TikTokers that were there, they would have said something. They definitely would have said something. They would have spilled the tea.
So, I mean, evidently there is a rumor that she's pregnant. I don't know what I mean, I don't know if she is or not, but what I do know is that if she is pregnant and she has to do life in prison, she'll have the baby and they'll take it from her. And the baby would probably go to be with Promise and the my geese are running. The Jake Jr. that was renamed also, if I had to guess. I did pin Mark's link to the top of the chat. So make sure that you check him out. He was saying that there's less people there this time, and that's what's going to happen. It's going to lose popularity as time goes on, and there's just going to be less and less and less people there, probably until it goes to trial if they allow it to be live streamed.
On that for sure. Like, hey, Mark, guess what? She's pregnant.
I hope so too.
You know, they would have told me. They would have told each other. It would have been the talk of that right there, of the hour, right before we went in there. But yeah, I don't know. I'm always keeping my ear to the, to the tracks, to the wall. I'm always keeping my ear. I'm always listening to what people might be saying about certain things. There was another thing too about some TikTokers or Instagram, and I don't want to say their names or anything like that, just to protect their privacy. And I guess the first hearing, they went in there and they were recording live in the courtroom and recording other inmates, as from what I was told. And they got talked to. And again, I'm not gonna mention who it is or their channels or anything like that. It's just an experience. It's just what somebody had told me, and I believe them. And it's not something to lie about or whatnot. They were recording other inmates coming in, and we kind of that was talked about too, and they got tickets, fines. So that's a little behind the scenes, kind of on the ground zero type of information that I try to listen to, and I try to really listen to what's going on and the rawness of it, and what what goes on, because a lot of the legal language I don't understand, so I have to look at it later. I'll write it down, but in the meantime, what I do understand is I do understand smarts, like what is talked about there, what is talked about in the locals, what is talked about.
Jerry said that I watched a stream last night where the creator had interviewed someone who was just released and knew Rebecca, and she believes she's pregnant. I'm thinking that's about the only way you're going to be able to find out, is if someone that was locked up with her gets released, because you have to have a special diet, and she would be getting morning sickness and a lot of things if she is. Heather Ann said if she is, though, at least this baby will have a better life without her in it, saving that baby's life. I agree. Gunners. I've never been on Gunners. Are you talking about JB Gunners? I hope not. Hey, the artsy alien. Yeah, we'll be able to tell. She'll be showing at trial. Cindy said Mark the Shark is really cool. He does late night stuff. He shouts AS outrage. Oh, I went in there and he was calling me a celebrity. I was like, I'm not a celebrity. Oh my goodness. But he is really sweet, and he gave me permission to go over the stream. So I do ask that you guys subscribe if you can, because he's following the case very closely and can give us updates from inside the courtroom.
Like when I went to the landfill, when I went to the memorial, when I go to the courtroom, we're all there. The TikTokers are there, and they're all nice. They're all there for good reasons. They have good hearts, and their heart's in the right place. And they're welcomed here, and they're more than welcome here on this channel, because we have conversations. Yeah, and that was surprising too. I was like, no way, because I didn't hear about that until they told me that, and I was like, really, I would think that's kind of like common knowledge or common sense, that you just don't go in there and start recording other inmates, with their hearings and things like that, unless you got press credentials. Then maybe there's something going on. But if that's the case, then why did you get a ticket, right?
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to mention names or anything like that. It doesn't matter. The thing is the incident, and yeah, it was, that was interesting too, to learn about that. And so now when I was there and everybody started filtering in, the sheriff was like, look, you have to be dressed appropriately to court. So you can't be wearing tops. You can't be wearing this. You can't be wearing sandals.
I sped it up to 1.5. Let me know if it's too fast. I understand it, but I listen to everything sped up. I was speeding it up so we could get through it a little faster. But if it's too fast, let me know.
In tow, because they just won't let you in, and you're gonna have to, if you're in there for court, you have to come back another date, and you have to explain why you couldn't make it there. And so, I try to go in and be dressed appropriately, because I don't want to be turned away. Going there a 2-hour trip, going there and then saying like, oh, you can't come in because you have shorts on. You can't come in because you're just, for whatever reason, So I try to go there presentable, and people that.
Yeah, they a lot of courtrooms won't let you in if you're wearing shorts, if you're wearing a tank top, if you're wearing a hat, if you don't have a belt on for men. If men go, a lot of courthouses, especially down here in the South, from places that I've had to go to court, they made you can't wear your hat inside. If a man didn't have a belt, they'll turn him around, and he'll get a warrant out for missing court because he didn't have a belt on. You got to be looking nice. Women can't go in there with their boobs hanging out. You got to be presentable. Miss North said, it's a public place, so that might not hold up too good. Well, yeah, if you're going in the actual courtroom, they have rules, and you can't, they won't let you in. Went grocery shopping with you all in my ear. It absolutely makes me sick, the price of these dang groceries. I spent $200, and what I got was nowhere near what should have been $200. In Arkansas, you can't even wear hoodies, because I'm going there and I'm always in a hoodie. That breaks my heart, because I'm going to try to go to court in a couple of places in Arkansas when I'm out there. Wow. I'm always in a hoodie. Yeah, you cannot look trashy in a court in the South. You can't. They do not care if you got a failure to appear. You're going to be dressed, you're going to be looking nice.
I get it. You're just waking up and going there and just trying to get your court date, and they got told they can't come in because they have shorts on. So that was pretty interesting too. Then the sheriffs, are saying the deputies, they tell us don't record, no pictures inside the courtroom, and no video, no live feed for commercial purposes, private purposes, unless you have a press pass. And even then, if you have a press pass, you can only take picture, one person per the court hearing, and then one video for the court hearing of the Jake and Haro case. They said that's your only warning. This is grounds for arresting you because we have told you already. Everybody's here. And the cop, the deputy, the sheriff, he's real nice. He's real cool. He cracks jokes. He breaks the ice. And he's like, look, I don't want to arrest you guys because it's a lot of paperwork. So just please don't do it. I don't want to do paperwork. So that's funny. So I'm sitting down. With this lady, real nice lady, real cool lady. And she's telling me about her experiences in the courtroom. And I'm asking her questions in jail. And so I'm asking her questions about Rebecca and what she might, in her opinion, I have to say that because it's just her opinion. We don't know what actually goes in there. Of course not. But we can get an idea. We can get a flavor of it. And what I was asking her is well, if she's in protective custody, one of the biggest questions I've had was, if she's in protective custody, do you think that she's with other inmates, or she's interacting, or she's making friends, or are they doing her hair, doing her makeup? What's going on with that? Because as you see, am I the only one here who ain't a mod? Yeah, I got a good group of mods right here. They're real respectful, real cool. They're loyal. They're cool, but I don't know who's in here or not. But
he is sweet.
I was asking her about that, and she was saying no. If she's in protective custody, she can't have contact with other inmates. But when they saw her in Davina's, remember we had Davina on, special guest that went to go see Rebecca. Supposedly there was an inmate right behind Rebecca looking.
So I didn't think about that being in protective custody. And I talked about when this inmate Davina went to see her, how her makeup was done and her hair was done and all that. What I'm thinking is, even if she is in protective custody, when you get a visit, they're going to pull you from your floor, wherever you're at, especially if it's 7 floors. And then you're going to be in a holding cell that's pretty close to the visiting area. And you're going to be in there with other women, and they might have done her hair then. Interesting though. I really doubt she knows how to do her hair and makeup. Like, that's something you have to learn from people that go in there quite a few times, I think. Mayla's mom, I don't think that the trial will be aired, if I'm being honest. I know the counties I live and work in, you can't. Yeah. It's not the fishermen, right? I don't think so. The judge sets the rules in his courtroom. The courtroom is a serious and respectful place where our system of law gets adjudicated and enforced. It ain't a trap house. That's for damn sure. Yep. It seems like a big ass jail, which means a lot of court cases, which is why they're saying that about the DA and stuff like that. They said she's not in protective custody. I'm going to look it up. I'm surprised that people wouldn't know to at least wear clothes that cover you or present yourself accordingly. They're not taught that these days, you know? Oh, really? I could see that too. I've seen a lot of people talking about things we used to make in there, even on YouTube, when they come out.
I don't know if that's a county thing, a prison thing. I'm not sure, but what she was telling me, this lady that I was sitting next to, is that is that she shouldn't be having contact if she's in protective custody. And so I was like, well, how is she then communicating with other inmates? How is she? And she said that, well, they can communicate through the vents. You can hear and you can talk through the vents, and the vents are connected to each other. And she said you can talk.
Yep, and if it's like floors stacked on top of the other, you can also talk in the toilet bowl. They should put up rules outside the court. It'd probably save issues. Yeah, probably. Did you learn any jailhouse? Yeah, we used our pencils. We would wet our pencils underwater and use it as eyeliner. And then you can use, if you have Jolly Ranchers or Skittles, you can use it for like to make your lips red and things like that. I mean, I didn't, do it a lot. I was never in there for more than, I think the longest I did was 90 days. So I was never in there for a really, really long time. But yeah, we used our pencils to do eyeliner. And then the girls would braid my hair. No shorts, no tank tops. A guy had a wife beater and the judge made an example out of him. Yep. So I did look, is Rebecca in protective custody? And it's not really telling me that. She might be. I don't know. It depends because, like, for females to be in protective custody, I don't know. It's kind of different. They could be in the medical facility, but like, it's not like for males to be in protective custody. They have probably a whole separate floor for the men that are in protective custody. But females are usually, it's like one pod and all the females are together. The only place I've ever been to where it was like, different pods for females was in Wake County, and that Wake County is the capital of North Carolina. And there was three separate pods for females. But I mean, if we're talking about Riverside, they might have more than one pod for females, and that would make me think there's a pod of protective custody inmates, and they're probably still in there together. I don't know. Coffee and a toothbrush for mascara. That's it. Yeah. I saw a video recently where the judge sent this girl home and charged her, I think it was with fail to appear, because she walked in there with a bed bonnet and house slippers. Yep. And they'll charge them with failure to appear, even though they were there. Sure will.
Dude, your neighbor, quote unquote neighbor, to your left, to your right, all day long. So I think that's what's happening, is that she, even though she doesn't have like physical contact with other people, I think, hey, Commander Alpha Turkey, good to see you. Even though she doesn't have that type of, physical communication, I think she does have communication through vents, kites, they call it kites, little mess like that. So the first time that I saw her was in that, the second hearing, where she just didn't look good. She looked like, she looked like shit. And I get it, as she should, right? And so, or I feel like she should, for what the heaviness of the case is. And so I asked her, what do you think happened? Like, what do you think is going on with that to when Davina saw her? And what she was telling me was pretty interesting. She said maybe she's getting adjusted to the prison life, to the jail life, to the county life. Maybe she's talking to other inmates, telling her about her domestic violence. And again, this is all just her opinion. We're exploring this. We're talking about it. Okay, it's okay to talk about these things. It doesn't excuse anything, of course not. But I feel like we have the right to talk. As we should. And so she's telling me all this, and she's saying she's probably just getting accustomed to. She doesn't know how to shower. She doesn't know how to do her hair. She doesn't know how to adjust it to her life in jail. So
I wish I could pull
that
a
was pretty
video up.
interesting too. She was saying that when she was in there, she was like that. The first few things, you're not showering every day, you're not taking care of yourself, and she thinks and she believes that now she's getting accustomed to that and talking through the vents because she's in protective custody. So she shunned some light on that. I thought that was really interesting, like kind of what goes behind and things like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Maybe having her communicate with other cellmates, other neighbors. Yeah, definitely justice for baby Emmanuel. In Central America, many places you must dress in their dress code. No candles, shorts, khaki pants for men, dresses for women. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what the sheriff was saying. Like, there's another sheriff, a lady. She's really nice too. And she's like, "You're coming to court. Be presentable." She's like telling everybody, "You're coming to." I was like, "All right, noted."
Look, I found a clip of it that I'm going to try to pull up. Hopefully, I won't get in trouble because it's a Netflix clip. Hold on.
Yeah, I'll be talking on the toilet. It's fun. It's better
Watch.
talking to the boys than these raggedy ass girls all the time.
Hey, bud. Hello. Who's this?
That's how they do it. Seriously.
I just got here from juvenile hall, and so I didn't know anything about toilet talking, any of that. And my bunkie was like, "Oh, there's some guys banging on our line." Hello? What are you talking about? Hello? Like, people are talking to you through the toilet, like, really?
Yeah.
I miss you.
So
It works better if it's like, because there will be floors, okay? And then if the guys are on the floor above you, you can hear them in the toilet.
Talk on the toilet bowl. You have to bail out. You take all the water out, dump it in the sink.
She bailed the toilet out and knocked, and somebody answered, and I was like, "Oh my God, what is happening here?"
Everybody has their own app because there's people on the 8th floor, there's people on the 6th floor.
Yeah, she's talking about the different floors. I have to pause it so I don't get in trouble.
There's people on the 5th floor. You can even talk to the boys on the 4th floor, but you can barely.
And you can hear them banging. Like, they will bang on it, and you hear the banging, and then you know to go to the toilet and talk to them. I can't believe. Y'all, I was young, though. I was, like, in my early 20s during this time period. Like, 21, 22, 23.
Hear them because it's very quiet.
Is there any bitches on the line?
And then you can, like, create a relationship.
I've been missing you all my.
And they will, y'all. They will have relationships. Like, that will be their boyfriend, and they will talk to him through the toilet bowl. And if you can talk to a trustee through the toilet bowl, when you get your laundry back, because the trustees do the laundry or fix your trays, they'll get like extra, like the girls, they'll go on a special meal, a special, like, in order to have a special diet in jail, okay, you have to say, I want only soft foods because my teeth are messed up, or, no, hold on a minute. So these girls would go on a special diet. I'm vegan, et cetera, but they wouldn't do it to just get those meals. They would do it because the people fixing your trays would have your name. Okay. And then you tell the trustee or the guy that you're talking to the toilet bowl in your name. And if he's fixing plates, he'll like put extra cakes on your plate, or you'll get extra servings of something. The laundry, they would send lighters and cigarettes. Yeah, because the male side gets more stuff like that, like cigarettes, weed, lighters, and they would send it. And they would have relationships through the toilet bowl. Yeah, it's just Morse code. It was insane, y'all.
He was like hella hot, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, talk to me."
It's my microphone.
Hello.
And you have to, if you could get the cardboard from the toilet paper rolls, it makes like a megaphone. And they started taking those out of the toilet paper rolls, so it's just paper. So I don't know, I guess some places they still do, some places they don't.
Hello? I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so cool. It's like having a cell phone.
Haley, you hear me?
Who is this?
It's Graham. I'm on 6. Nah, I'm watching.
When he said I'm on 6, that's the floor he's on. And like you can talk to people that are four floors above you sometimes. Y'all, it was insane. It was insane. It does give talking shit a whole nother meaning.
Boy.
What you want me to tell her?
I don't know who figured it out, but whoever first did it was a genius.
A genius, because that's real science for real. Okay. Talking in the toilet bowl. Whoever figured it out is a freaking genius. Okay. Oh, Lord.
There was other things too.
Yeah.
There was other things too. That it was pretty interesting. And I'll go over that too. Yeah, sandals. A lot of people with sandals that got turned away. Shorts. That was a big thing. Shorts.
Funny.
A lot of people with shorts came in. A lot of people with shorts. And then they would come back with like baggy sweats or something because they went to the store real quick. Or went home or grabbed some from their car or something. But there was like other little questions that I had asked her too. And I was like, well, where do they come from? Like, where are the inmates coming from? Like, where are they here? Are they they think they're going to the beach? Yeah, I must say.
All right, I'm gonna skip it forward a little bit.
So that was interesting. She also was telling me about the charges, how the charges look different. Send me your address, your email address. Like upset still.
There.
I would be too. You took your meds, you're a little loopy. That's the best when you're loopy. Well, other things too. When I was talking to this lady, is like, where did they take him? Where are they coming from? Like the inmates, are they here? And she's saying that Jake is now in Banning. He's in Banning. He got moved to Banning, like a low level or a high security place. Sorry. So that was interesting.
Really?
She also was telling me about the charges, how the charges look different. That was interesting because I know Rebecca got for murder, and Jake got murder with malice or something like that. So she thought that was pretty interesting. Was that maybe Jake is throwing Rebecca under the bus, and that's why she got with the murder charge. She had the devil's lettuce. And so we looked at that. We looked at the charges, and yeah, they're different. We looked at the website, the DA's website, on the, like what they have, their date of birth and things like that. So yeah, his charges are a little different than what are from her, because she got like the first degree murder charge, and he got a murder with malice or something. One of the other doctors was saying like it's the same thing because it's the same hearing and it's the same time. So that also makes sense. So that was interesting too, like how it's different, but it's kind of it's the same going in there because they're getting represented at the same time. So that makes sense too. So I thought that was interesting to look at, different charges for both, but they're there being tried together. So it's like, do they overlap with each other? Like, are my charges your charges too, kind of a thing? So
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go from Mark. That was Mark the Shark. Go make sure you check him out so that you can get the full entire recap, because we only got to 37 minutes out of like an hour and 16 minutes. And I know that he talks more about it. So definitely go check him out. He's following the case very closely and got lots of information on it. Mayla's mom said they also send like bags of chips and stuff through the toilet pipe, some kind of phishing. I've heard about that, but I never did it. Because we would just talk to the trustees and they would send us like, I got honey buns and all kinds of cakes in my laundry bag. And there was one girl who would get the extra food on her tray. And then there's windows. I don't have that clip. If I pull it, hold on. Let me see if I can pull it back up and I'll show you the windows. We would talk in the windows too. You would write letters Like we would do the alphabet, but you had to do it backwards, and you would put it in the window, and then you could talk to them. And some people would be talking about their cases, which was dangerous, but you couldn't see, like the COs, you couldn't see. Hold on a minute. I'll pull it back up. Let me mute it. Was in the guy so you could see the window really clearly. That window, like there's a window above her head. This window right here, you could put letters in it. Those are like blacked out. Ours were clear. You could see outside. And you would write letters backwards, and you would talk to the guys, like, because there's like an open area, and then the guy's side. I'd have to show you. Let me pull it up. Let me see if I can pull up a picture. Hold on. Okay. So this is where I was at, okay? Now you see these little lines right here? Those are windows, okay? Now we were on this side. This is the same thing. It looks just like that, but this side. So we were like way up here. We were on like the 5th floor or something. And we could put letters in our windows like, I don't know, what's your name? You would flip the letter around backward and put WHATS and hold them up, and then take it down after they saw it, and then put your and take it down, and then put name and take it down. And then on their side, they would have letters that they wrote out backwards, and they would tell us what their names were and things. But you see this like open area here. So like the windows, you could see across, and you could talk to them and ask them questions and all kinds of things. That was the crazy one, but that was the big one that I went to. I went to several, unfortunately. I was a little badass back in the day. That was the big one I went to. Okay, so let's move on from talking about jail. Okay, so I do have Jack and Lily, a little update on them, so we'll talk about that. Okay. I believe it, but damn, shit flavored Doritos can't be that good. Yeah, they would. I never did that, but I've heard of people doing it. I couldn't imagine doing all that now. I wouldn't be eating no food out of the toilet. I mean, it'd be wrapped in the bag, but still, I'm good. Thank you. All right. So I saw this. I think Abellis might have sent me this one too, but it says 4 months. It reads 4 months, no answers. How rumors took over a missing children's case in Nova Scotia. Since Lilly and Jack Sullivan's disappearance in May, online sleuths have unleashed a storm of unwanted attention on their families. I really hope that they're found. That's such a sad case. Right? 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack have not been seen in public since May 1st, a day before their mother and stepfather say they wandered away from their home in Lansdowne Station. The rural Nova Scotia community is part of Pictou County, an area of dense forest and meandering. That's the first time I've ever seen that word since the Stephen Stearns case. Meandering rivers, where memories of recent tragedies in the province, a horrific mass killing in 2020 and a missing toddler that same year, remain vivid. Over 4 months after the siblings' disappearance, a sense of unease permeates the region, even as residents rally at vigils and in community Facebook groups to try and keep hope alive. And while everyone seems to have an opinion about what may or may not have happened, not a single soul appears to know for certain. In the days after the children were declared missing, Hundreds of trained searchers spent long, arduous days scouring the almost impenetrable woods around the family's home using drones, dogs, and underwater recovery team. Though in the end, these efforts yielded little more than a child's faint boot print and scraps of a pink blanket. As of mid-July, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police team leading the investigation has assessed more than 760 tips from the public, reviewed more than 8,000 video files obtained from the surrounding area, and interviewed at least 60 individuals, some of whom, including the children's stepfather, Daniel Martel, were giving polygraph tests. While police have stated there is no evidence to suggest that the children were abducted, they have not ruled out the disappearance as suspicious. For now, the case remains an active investigation. Hold on just a minute. Sorry about that. Is that Stephen Stearns River? Good question. Have a good day, Brenda. Okay. For locals, the lack of resolution has been devastating, as has the media frenzy and online speculation. What began as initial shock turned into cautious hope that the children would be found safe. But as days passed, hope began to waver, and ever more elaborate theories about the disappearance started to circulate. In the intervening months, a number of social media spaces and true crime websites have blown up with wild and often lurid stories. Many of these accusations as directed at Lilly and Jack's family as Many of these accusations are directed at Lilly and Jack's family as online sleuths parse every word uttered by relatives for evidence of guilt and offer outlandish theories about what they might have done. In theory, police can keep rumors at bay by keeping the public informed, but communicating openly can be risky when a missing persons case is still active. Law enforcement always has more evidence than they share with the public, says Michelle Genis, an associate professor in criminology at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Quote, they want to hold back on information, for one, on things that they can't prove yet, and they don't want to tip off any potential persons of interest so that they change their behavior if they're watching them closely. Genis is a leading expert in missing persons case. Her research looks at how the stories of the missing are taken up by the media and how amateur sleuths can help or hinder investigation. She says it's exceedingly rare for a child, let alone two, to simply vanish with no evidence. In an unsolved missing person case, the lack of answers can be agonizing for the family of the disappeared, who often blame police for falling short. Okay. In an interview with CTV News the day after the disappearance, Malaya Brooks Murray, the children's mother, pushed for law enforcement to issue an Amber Alert, which would have notified the public about child abduction via widespread media broadcasts, and called for anyone with information to come forward. But the RCMP says they had no information to suggest an abduction had occurred. They did, however, send out 2 vulnerable persons alerts to the surrounding area on May 2nd and May 3rd. Nevertheless, there is a feeling among some that focusing solely on searching for the children in the woods instead of treating the disappearance as a possible abduction might have cost investigators valuable time. I fall within that category because I think that they should have treated it as an abduction from the get-go. I don't think personally they're missing. I think that they were abducted, and I feel like if they'd cut off the borders and like if they were able to call police from different areas to kind of shut off the area in any way in or out, it might have helped at the time. But we don't know exactly when they went missing. Even the parents don't. So they might have been long gone by then. I don't know. It continues, the issue of emergency alerts is particularly raw in rural Nova Scotia, 5 years after the RCMP were criticized for waiting too long to send out an electronic alert, as Gabriel gunman impersonated an officer and led a rampage of homicide and arson in a string of communities not far from Pictou County, in what would turn out to be Canada's largest mass homicide. The Mass Casualty Commission, formed in the wake of the homicides, condemned the RCMP and their report for failing to adequately communicate with local residents while the attacks were occurring. Gina says the only thing law enforcement can do at this point in Lilly and Jack's investigation is to keep the case in the media in order to solicit tips and continue their searches. In July, RCMP Corporal told CBC News, that the public needs to be patient, citing the frequency of RCMP news releases and the need for police to be cautious about what information is released. As a new school year begins, however, and worried parents send out their children, it seems clear that the resolution Pictou County needs in order to find peace remains beyond the reach of law enforcement. Frustration with police. Handling of missing person cases in Nova Scotia is nothing new. Also in 2020, just a few weeks after Wortman's rampage, 3-year-old Dylan Eller disappeared from the backyard of his grandmother's home outside Truro, not far from Pictou County. Dylan's body was never recovered, and the case remains open, although searchers discovered his rubber boots in a nearby river, and many assume he might have fallen into the waterway and drowned. Now, his dad came on, and we went over that case, and also, if you go to, let me drop her link. If you have not subscribed to Duchess, she was actually able to interview his dad, who said that the boots by the stream were not Dylan's boots. He says they were planted there. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't. That's just what he says. But definitely check out Duchess if you haven't, so you can hear that interview. It's really interesting. In my opinion, one of the parents knows something, says Southern Cats. Cindy said, I think they could have investigated it both ways at the same time. I do too. I agree with that. Yep. Abraham said, but if you treat it as an abduction and put out an Amber Alert, what information are you going to give the public? You don't have a vehicle description or that of a suspect. And that's a good point. And that's why they didn't, because they didn't have a description of the vehicle or the suspect. So they were unable to put out an Amber Alert. But if you had cut off all the ways out of the county, I don't know, maybe it would have been better. Is what I'm thinking. Maybe more so shut down the roads. You know what I mean? Yeah, it looks so bad for the RCMP, said Hannah. I agree with you. RCMP didn't seem to understand the importance of alerting right away 2 kids possibly abducted. Only one main road. They could set up roadblocks easily. Yep. I agree, and it's not the only case. I now think that about... Okay, I agree, and it's not the only case. I now think that about either. Oh, I now think that about either. Yeah, I'm really worried because we haven't seen them in 4 months. And like, I mean, again, it's odd that 2 disappeared at the same time. Not just 1, but 2. The article continues, Dylan's parents criticized police for not treating his disappearance as a possible crime and not issuing an Amber Alert. In a burgeoning Facebook group of 17,000 members, traded theories, with some accusing Dylan's family of involvement in the disappearance. In response, the family hired a lawyer who sued group administrators under a provincial cyberbullying law. In the ensuing settlement agreement, the administrators were prohibited by courts from posting about the case, reactivating the Facebook group, or creating any similar groups. Gina says the families of the disappeared are put in an impossible position. When they feel the police aren't doing enough, they might reach out to media directly in hopes they will speed the case along. On one hand, Jeannie said, research shows that when families speak to the media, there is a greater likelihood of the missing person being recovered. Stepping into the media glare, however, comes at a great psychological cost. The families of the missing rarely have media training. Quote, nobody knows how to act right, unquote, she says. Quote, there's no standard way that you're supposed to behave. Once in the spotlight, families are subject to intense scrutiny. Now everyone can talk about you. And that's the double-edged sword of coming to the media or coming to YouTube or coming to the public in general about a missing child case or missing persons case in general. Going to the media, yeah, you can get the story out there, but they're going, I mean, even anybody is going to pick apart everything. Every breath you take is going to be picked apart and zoned in on to see how you're really acting. I mean, we've heard a lot about Daniel and Malaya, and I've even picked apart some of the things they've said. I can admit that. But then we find out that they've taken polygraph tests and they allegedly passed, like the RCMP has put out that they passed. Hey, Abellis, good to see you. So it's, you know, I don't think that people need to go and talk to YouTubers specifically, because I don't see personally a YouTuber being able to solve a case. Okay. I just don't. I don't think that anybody should be out here talking to YouTubers, because I don't think a YouTuber is going to solve a missing persons case. I just don't. Talking to the media or the news group, I think, is a good way to get it out, and maybe sharing that. We as YouTubers can share these media releases and talk about the case, but when family members get involved on YouTube, I think it's a problem. Kalisa said we need to have a way to alert for missing children without needing a vehicle and kidnapper description. Time is of the essence, and we have the ability to alert via cell phone. And I think that they're trying to make some changes to the Amber Alert system, basically in those aspects, from what I understand. Rumor has it, I'll say. Kat said, do any of y'all remember the case of Cordia Aline? Idaho, 2 kids were playing in their yard, brother and sister, and that freak kidnapped them. The little girl survived. Shasta Garoni? I don't remember that case off the top of my head. Oh, I'm sorry, Abraham. Damn. I don't know of that case specifically, but I'll look it up. Okay. In the case of Lily and Jack, online commenters had fixated on Martell's seemingly calm behavior and apparent lack of emotion during interviews as evidence that he might be covering up his involvement in the case, even as court documents released to the media last month regarding the investigation seemed to suggest otherwise. Nevertheless, every word he utters is analyzed and debated by social media users around the world. While Martell has been highly visible in local and national media, Brooks Murray has chosen not to speak to reporters since the day after the disappearance. A decision her mother told CBC News came at the advice of police. The children's paternal grandmother, Belinda Gray, meanwhile, is calling for a public inquiry into the disappearances, which would include looking at how police handled the early stages of the investigation. Martell's mother, Janie McKenzie, who owns and lives on the property from where the children went missing, is also critical of the RCMP's initial handling of the case and is unhappy that police updates to the family have slowed down. In an interview with CBC News, she complained of drones flying over her home and reporters showing up at her door unannounced. She says the barrage of online accusations against her son has turned her life upside down. Quote, I want the rumors to stop, she told CBC. I just want everything to stop. For me, for the sake of the other children, my grandchildren, they don't deserve this. Robert Parker, the warden of the municipality of Pictou County, which includes Lansdowne Station, says that as the elected municipal leader for the area, it's been hard for him to see his close-knit community show up on the national radar this way. The intense surveillance from outsiders weighs on everyone. Quote, it becomes almost like a TV show, he says. But the important thing to remember is that at the end of all this is real people. I agree with that. I see that you're green. Yep. There have been so many stories from family members and no real searching by the family, especially the mom and stepdad. They are just moving on with their lives. So that is why people criticize, in my opinion. It is interesting that you haven't seen Malaya out here searching. Maybe she's doing it behind the scenes. I think so as well. We initially heard that We initially heard there were like never abductions, but to find out it's common, and there were just 2 men trying to get kids off the street in town like 2 weeks previous. I heard about that. I did hear about that. I'm a bit on the sick side. I hope you feel better, Miss Woozy. I do feel bad for authorities because if you put out an Amber Alert for every person that went missing, there would be so many alerts that it would be very hard to keep it as an alert. That's true too. I'm thinking though, for children, maybe we should. You know, something that seems sus to me, nothing's been said about the brother or son that supposedly lived on the property except in the very beginning. Yeah, and I wonder, I mean, I'm sure police have ruled him out, but that is, you're right, Cindy. The article continues, stepping into this void are volunteer groups active in online sleuthing or searching for the disappeared. Nick Oldrevere is the founder of the organization Please Bring Me Home, which helps families of the disappeared search for their loved ones. He has been closely involved in the Dylan Eller case and has kept in regular contact with Dylan's parents since soon after the boy went missing. He had hoped to help search for Jack and Lily in May, but was already lending a volunteer effort to search for Dylan on the 5-year anniversary of his disappearance. Old Rivy sees similarities in the Eller and Sullivan cases. He says he feels for the families who are on the front lines of this public accusation. Quote, I can't imagine the toll it has to take on them to think that the public looks at them as being responsible for the disappearance. The surprising thing to me is how quick people are to that judgment without having all the information. Parker says the community knows how deeply invested the searchers and police are in finding the children. The fact that we didn't find little Jack and little Lily does not reflect at all on the hard work that went in here from so many people, including the RCMP. Everybody gave it their all. I don't like that past tense, gave it their all, instead of is giving it their all. Did we stop searching? Is there no more going on in the case at all? He says the disappearance has been especially difficult for young children in Pictou County, including those who attended Jack and Lily's school, Salt Springs Elementary. Caregivers have become more protective and parents apprehensive about letting their children play alone in their yards until the truth of the tragedy is revealed. Quote, I think it's really difficult for the family and neighbors, Parker said. It's a natural thing, I think, for people to want to know what's happened here. We need to find answers, and we need to know what happened to our little ones. I still remember this father, Mark, down in Florida, who lost his daughter to a neighbor, and they all searched, and she was a couple of trailers over, buried with her toy dolphin alive. Oh, my God. That is horrific. I'm so sorry. I could not imagine. Kalisa said, I wonder if Daniel and Malaya are simply parents that were neglectful and feel guilty about the kids missing, and we are blaming them looking at their less than ideal home life. I think that's exactly what's going on, Kalisa. I really do. I think that's 100% what's going on. And that's the end of that article. I don't know what to think about the online rumors and speculation in the case. Again, I would just highly suggest that parents not get involved specifically with YouTube, because like that's where a lot of stuff has come from, with Daniel being in YouTube chats and all that. And I think that's why the RCMP had to put out that he passed the polygraph test, because he was looking so sus, and he's blaming Malaya, you know, so I don't know. I don't know. Like, Malaya and Daniel may have some substance abuse, DV, and financial instability, but haven't killed their kids either. Right. He went to the White House to get some laws reformed. Wish I could remember his last name. Yeah, that's terrifying. Okay. Now we're going to move on to something that I saw a couple of days ago and wanted to talk to you guys about. So we're going to talk about it today. Do you guys know who Chad Maybelline is? I didn't really get into that case, but There's some more information coming out about him. So we're going to talk about that. Okay. Let me get it pulled up. Hey, Hio. Abraham said this is a tough issue, but we should side with the standard the incident should meet in order to move to the next step. If we don't risk chaos or perceived favoritism when it's done for one and not the other. If we don't, we risk chaos or perceived favoritism when it's done for one and not the other. That's true. It does put law enforcement and people in the area, wherever the area is, in a sticky predicament because you would risk favoritism. Shasta Groening's case. Yeah. I can't say for Malaya as I've not heard anything, but I don't think that had anything to do with it. Yeah. Hey, Wolfpack. Daybell is delusional. Avella said, Chad Daybell, the slug who needs salt sprinkled on it. Yeah, I found this real interesting, and I haven't looked into it yet, but I figured we'd talk about it. So this article is child homicider Chad Daybell is sending shocking letters from death row with his daughter's help. In the letters posted on a new website, the former doomsday cult leader maintains his innocence and says he hopes his musings help people understand him better. And we're going to look at those letters because this website has a link directly to the letters. I don't need to know about Priscilla Presley, but thank you for that. Chad Daybell was sentenced to death in 2024 for the homicides of his first wife and the two children of his current wife, Lori Vallow Daybell. The one-time doomsday cult leader is sharing his thoughts from death row on a website called Letters from Chad. He maintains his innocence, saying he shares sadness and pain over the deaths of his ex-wife and the two children, but doesn't have all the answers. Chad Daybell is sharing his innermost thoughts from death row. The convicted killer has started a website called Letters from Chad featuring uncensored and unfiltered dispatches from his cell on death row, it says on its opening page. We're going to go ahead and go over there. This is the website, Letters from Chad. Welcome to Letters from Chad. This website features letters uncensored and unfiltered written by Chad Daybell from his cell on death row. All contained opinions are his. He receives no financial compensation. Before we read that, let's read about the author. Oh, look at that. This website is dedicated to letters to friends and family posted on behalf of Chad Daybell. Uploads are planned for every Monday and Thursday. All opinions are Chad Daybell's. Chad receives no financial compensation from the letters on this website or on the social platforms they are posted on. Chad Daybell is currently incarcerated, but is able to write these letters through a process that enables them to be posted. So let's go to the letters. Letter 1. Whew. It's a lot. Literally a blockhead. Y'all think he's delusional? Carr said, oh man, I watch a couple of Kobe's streams and he is legit cursed. If you watch Kobe at all, you know that he tries to abstain from cursing. Oh man, he was so angry. I couldn't imagine. Okay, letter 1 says, hello, my friends. This is Chad Daybell writing you from my cell in Idaho's maximum security institution. This is the first of several letters I will send. I want to thank everyone who sent me cards and letters while I have been incarcerated. Your kind words of support really helped me. I cherished each one. I arrived here at the prison in June of 2024, and I suppose you could say I've settled in. Okay. As for death row, oh, I'm sorry, Basil. Didn't know you were there. As for death row itself, I won't be sharing details about my daily schedule or information about my fellow inmates. As the newest arrival on death row, it isn't my place to talk about such things. It really is different. It really is a different world in here, but I'm surviving and I spend a lot of time working on my upcoming appeals. Well, who would have thunk it? I express my gratitude to each of you who have been a part of my life. While I was in the Fremont County Jail, I spent thousands of hours in an isolation cell. I wasn't allowed to have a clock, and it often felt like time stood still. Welcome to jail, Chad Daybell. You don't get preferential treatment. I reached out to the Idaho State Prison, emailed the warden about Chad's new endeavor. Really? I love Colby's snark when he talks about the dumbbells. I'm being silly. Okay. During those challenging days, I would reflect on my life, working forward from childhood to more recent years. As memories came to me, I would write down the names of the people who had been positive influences in my life. Oh, good. We've got a list of people to look at and ask questions now about what the hell were you thinking. He continues. I felt strengthened as I remembered my extended family members, neighbors, coworkers, school classmates, business associates, church members, and friends I have been privileged to know. You have all enriched my life in so many ways. I am using this method to share my story because I want you to receive it uncensored and unfiltered directly from me. Because I, Chad Daybell, feel like you give a shit. Okay, sorry. Let me calm down. Abella said, Chad, FYI, you ain't leaving death row. And if you do, you're not leaving prison, crud. The laugh reminded me of Jabberjaw. Kelsey called him Chewbacca the Hutt once, and I fell over in my chair. Bucked with a chainsaw. I've heard that, bucked with a chainsaw. But no, I haven't said that. Lord in the morning. All right. I am aware of how I've been portrayed in the media. Frankly, those portrayals of me are unrecognizable. I am not the man the media has created. I am not a cult member who should be feared. I am not a conspirator, but it would be a conspirer or a killer. I never have been. I am a father, a grandfather, a husband, a son, a brother, and a friend with a firm faith in the gospel of Jesus Christ. Of Latter-day, he forgot to add, of Latter-day Saints. I could be wrong. The FLDS. That's my concern. The FLDS. I will always be concerned about the FLDS. I've recently been able to have a few in-person visits with several of my family members, and those have been wonderful. I will always be grateful for the unconditional love and support these family members have given me. When people find out that my relatives have visited me, they usually ask them, how has he changed? What I would love to know what people are asking that. Like, who gives a shit? Who cares if he has changed? Because I don't think anybody truly does. Hey, Stoic. No, you're good. I can't believe this either. Carolina said Chad's an idiot. He's the newest arrival to BK. He's not the newest arrival. BK is, and both were in the same cell block before the prison had to move Brian Koberger because he was being threatened. Oh, poor Brian. It's turning into porn now. I hope Brian cries himself to sleep, honestly, with Chad. I hope they hold each other and spoon and cry at each other. I hope they hold each other in a spooning position and cry themselves to sleep, if I'm being honest. He continues, my relatives give the same response. Quote, he hasn't changed. He's the same Chad we always knew. People are surprised by that answer after hearing a different story for so long. I am still the quiet, gentle person you all know. I have always been a peacemaker, even now in prison. I've never caused anyone's death and never conspired to commit such acts against anyone. I share in your sadness, pain, and grief over the deaths of Tammy, Tylee, and JJ. I don't have all the answers even now, but I'm grateful a more complete story will be shared during my appeals process. I really feel like he shouldn't even be allowed to say their names, honestly. During my court trial, I followed my attorney's advice to sit quietly, not smile, and not show any emotions as evidence was presented. I know that is standard protocol for defendants in the courtroom, but I realize now that it made me appear to be cold and uncaring, which is the opposite of who I am. I assure you, my heart was breaking many times throughout the trial, and there were moments I couldn't hold back the tears, especially as I saw and heard family members suffering the same feelings of anguish that I was experiencing. A key purpose of these letters is to share with you what I had hoped would have been explained in court. I will strive to make each letter informative and worth your time. Sir, you could never make it worth my time, ever. I fully realize many people will never change their negative opinion of me. You damn right. In this age of social media, podcasts, and the merging of the mainstream media with law enforcement, very few defendants are portrayed in a positive way. All I can hope for is that these letters can begin to generate feelings of healing, reconciliation, and understanding. Thanks again, my friends, for the many ways you have helped and inspired me throughout my life. This is titled Bookshelf. Hey, Teresa. I hope the surviving victims file some sort of restraining order of cease and desist with the court to get this bullshit taken down. Me too. This is titled Bookshelf. When I attended Springfield Junior High in the early 1980s, I enrolled in a woodshop class. The instructor said we could build anything we wanted, so I decided to make a bookshelf. I designed it myself, and it was about 5 feet high with several shelves. I was pleased with how it turned out, and over the past 4 decades, that sturdy bookshelf has become our family's most enduring piece of furniture. Beds, sofas, tables, and recliners have come and gone, but the bookshelf has made every move with us. And now my son now has possession of it. Our family's favorite books have resided on those shelves throughout the years, and I'm eager to share the significance of those books in upcoming letters. One of the most important books I have ever read is Life Everlasting by Duane S. Crowther. It was one of the first books placed on my new bookshelf after I discovered the book as a teenager. The book examines eyewitness accounts of more than 200 individuals who have ventured into the spirit world and returned to tell their experiences. It is LDS themes. Who would have thunk it? But the truths it contains apply to everyone. I will be sharing quotes from it many times in upcoming letters. Oh, so we're going to attempt to continue the cult-like mindset by doing that. Please excuse me, anybody that is a member of the FLDS. I want to be very careful not to, I don't think anybody in the FLDS would be online, but the LDS, I want to be careful. My viewpoint is when you make a regular person, I mean, they're not seen as regular people, but a man of flesh is a better term. A man of flesh, when you portray him as a prophet, you're getting into very dangerous territory, okay? In my eyes, in my opinion, there is no other prophet than Jesus Christ, okay? So if you martyr a man and make him a prophet, that's flesh and blood, you get Warren Jeffs, okay? You're putting everything in this man to the extent that he could take child brides, a crap load of children, and you have a cult-like mentality. You would follow this man of flesh and blood off the face of the earth into your death. That's a big problem for me. So please forgive me. I don't mean to sound biased. If you are of any of the religions that have prophets, you might want to step out, because I can't with the prophets. I'm sorry. And I apologize for that ahead of time. Okay. Back to the letter. If you have any interest in where we come from before birth, why we are here on earth, and where we will go after death, Life Everlasting provides those answers. The book was first published in the 1960s, but Duane released an excellent updated version in 2008 with 5 additional chapters. I would recommend that version. You can access it here. Let me see. Oh, there we go. And with the link, you know, he gets a kickback. Like if I paid for it, I wouldn't have to pay more, but he would probably get a kickback. Life Everlasting. Well, that didn't work like I thought it would. I mean, that's not a sample though. That's what the book looks like. It's a fascinating examination of man's future life from the time of death until his entry into the heavenly realms. The book reaches beyond the commonplace to give the profound new insights into the nature of life to come. It examines eyewitness accounts of more than 200 individuals who have ventured into the spirit world and then returned to tell of their experiences. It also draws extensively from the scriptures and from disclosures of the FLDS. Yep. Of special interest, there are vivid descriptions of Jesus Christ as he appeared to many who have entered into paradise. Look, let's talk about that for a second. I'm about to go back to the letters so we can continue that. But are you aware that when you die, like especially if you're in a hospital setting, your pineal gland, which is shaped like a pine cone, and it hardens over time if you smoke cigarettes or drink coffee, which is what I do all day. Anyway, your pineal gland releases a shit ton of DMT when you die. Okay. And we're talking about people who have ventured into the spirit world, basically died and come back to life. Okay. You die on a surgical table, and thank God the doctors were able to bring you back. Okay. When you die, your pineal gland releases a bunch of DMT, okay? Now, let's talk about, we have an extremely religious person who reads the Bible every day and is extremely religious in every aspect of their life, okay? When their brain releases that DMT, it's going to go on things that you know, and maybe some things that you don't. So for somebody who maybe was religious, or maybe not, maybe was religious as a child, but turned their back on it as an adult, that DMT, when it gets released in your brain, is going to make you think of like Jesus or different things like that. That's my explanation for that. Am I saying that it's completely untrue? No. I think that maybe some people do talk to God. I don't know. But I also know that this happens, so it makes me very cynical about it. I believe that people could have saw Jesus, but I would need to know some background information first, because if they actually died and the DMT was released, it could explain it to me. Kalisa said, Chad is vile, but the LDS church is based on having living prophets. In the Bible, we have Moses and Ezekiel and many other prophets. LDS church makes it easy for members to prophesy. And I get that. Those were all going to be before Jesus. I think Jesus was the last prophet because he died on the cross and made it so that we were all washed clean of our sins, and we don't have to go and sacrifice animals and all of the things anymore. We don't have an eye for an eye. So that's just my beliefs, but I respect everybody else's. And again, I'm not trying to offend anybody. Chud Dumbell, I like that. You are as worthless now as you were when you committed the homicide of 2 innocent children and your wife. I agree. And prophet, whoa. And PROSELYTIZING is encouraged and rewarded by the LDS top members. I was talking, Mr. Speculating has family that are Mormons, and we were talking about that like earlier, like maybe a week ago. And he was saying that like a really high up guy in the church was saying that there's somebody behind a door in like one of the main temples, and like the man goes up there and allegedly talks to God, and you can hear 2 people arguing, but allegedly there's one person in the room. I don't know, but Anyway, he didn't say that about his pineal gland. I'm saying about his pineal gland. But anyway, Funny can commit the homicide of children and fear for your life. Make that make sense. Right, Brenda? Exactly. Was it your son that got sick? I think I asked you, but I just wanted to make sure everything was okay. Hey, Mustang, this is a dramatic reading of the Daybell letter, so I want to warn you, and I'm very cynical of the prophetizing people that are here on earth of flesh and blood. So here's your warning. This is going to be a little off kilter. Miss North said, "You're right to have whatever spiritual beliefs you have. It's not something someone should be prosecuted or targeted over." Right. And I do want you to know, if you have different ones, I respect that. I just don't want to offend anybody because I'm trying not to be offensive. Musical notes. I love all kinds of music. And in my upcoming letters, I will sometimes mention songs that have been the soundtrack to my life. Rather than disrupting the flow of the letter by discussing a song's importance to me at that point, I will include those, quote, musical notes afterward to give added meaning and depth. Most of my memories are tied to specific songs that had an influence on me. However, during my first 3 years in Fremont County Jail, I rarely heard music. It was a genuine hardship since my life had been immersed in music before my incarceration. Welcome to jail, sir. I still think pineal gland sounds funny and dirty at the same time. Really, Abraham? I live in LSDS Central, Salt Lake City, Utah. By the way, it's pronounced Prosettilizing in Utah. I slaughtered it again. In my opinion, to keep his kids under his control, he gaslighted them and used religious manipulation their entire life. Boom, 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 bam. That's my problem. That's my problem. That's my problem. Fucking keep sweet. Keep sweet. Keep sweet. Oh, it makes me mad. Chad writes like a young boy who just read either Twilight or a young adult romance novel. And you know, though, that's why he was able to captivate an audience, because of the way he writes. You know what I mean? It's a tongue twister. I had to use spell check, no doubt. If only it was that easy to speak to our higher powers. We are all the same. Our blood is the exact same color. DNA is different. And we all have the ability to speak to God in our own way. Does anyone know these near-death experiences these prophets face supposedly been verified? I'm sure you could find someone that hasn't experienced what they said. I think they said Chad Daybell even hadn't. I don't get offended, but I did hear the audible voice of God at age 13 and received a premonition at age 28 that presented immediately. Now that's crazy. And that's a different thing for me, Wolfpack, because I mean, I've talked about, I'll go down a conspiracy road in a minute with you. I do believe that there are people out here that can hear things like that. But basically we had the Jeffs family, like his dad died and then they picked Warren Jeffs, or they was like, oh, Warren Jeffs is the next prophet. And then, you know what he did. I don't think it's a lineage type of thing. I believe that some people are born special and can hear things like what you're describing, can bend spoons with their mind, can, what is it called? Remote viewing. I personally believe that is possible. I believe that MK Ultra happened and it's still happening. But that's different for me than like saying this man is a prophet and everything he says is the word of God, because then you're making God on earth, and you're at risk for that person to hurt people. Okay. I'm going to get back to prophylaxizing. Prophylaxizing. Yes. Okay. Do you open you up physically? Okay, I'm going to get back to the letter. Okay. Then, a few months before my court trial began, the jail staff provided a portable radio I could listen to when I was allowed into the jail's ball court. The court was a concrete rectangle with 20-foot high walls that usually blocked the sun. But it was nice to breathe some fresh air. There was a giant communication tower directly above the jail that interfered with the radio reception. But if I stood in a certain spot on the ball court and held the radio at a tilted angle, I could hear a few stations: a country station, an oldie station, and a Christian station called K Love came in the best. At first, I listened to at first, I listened to the other two stations more often, but as I became more familiar with the K-Love songs and their emphasis on Jesus and uplifting topics, Lord, I can't read, I came to rely on those songs to boost my morale. One song that stood out to me was "I'm So Blessed" by the group K. It has a catchy beat, and the lyrics include the phrase, "On my best day, I'm a child of God. On my worst day, I'm a child of God." Those were definitely some of my worst days. But the song helped me to remember that the Lord was with me at all times, especially when the going got tough. So if you're having a hard day, click on the link and hopefully the song helps lift your spirits. Wow. Stop it. Oh, wow. That's crazy. I believe some people can do that, but not everybody, and not these men you're prophetizing that go on to take child brides that are fucking 9 years old. Spirit wives, keep sweet. Yeah. I'd like to visit that man in prison and not keep very sweet. All right, that was letter 1. Okay, let's go to letter 2. Oh my God, stop it. Letter 2. This letter is devoted to Tammy. Take him to the ball court and shoot him in the head. I loved her and I still do. She was my life partner and the mother of our 5 amazing children. We built a wonderful family together. We were married for nearly 30 years, and I always sought to keep her safe and protected. She was the anchor of my life, and I never considered harming her. I mean, if that's true, didn't he get married to Lori like relatively quickly after she died? I love you all, and I won't listen to any LSDS type letters or speeches. I'm surrounded by it in real life. I don't blame you. I couldn't be out there, I don't think. They believe when you die, you're dead until resurrection. Hashtag blessed. I suppose people would think you're crazy. That sucks. I once had a dream I was talking to God right after my diagnosis, and I was experiencing other serious health issues. I saw my cousin who passed in my dream, and he told me someone wanted to talk to me. I remember sitting on the edge of the bed and just talking to this massive figure, hearing responses in my head that everything was going to be okay. That's crazy. Could be. I do believe in premonitions. My son died, and I had a horrible premonition 2 days before it happened. Oh, wow. See, some of that stuff happens, but y'all aren't out here trying to take, saying, my son by proxy is going to be the next prophet that talks to God and tells us all what God says. And we can't talk to God. We can't, only this man can talk to God and tell us what God wants us to do. And banish young men, young boys from the area where they all live. And because there's too many boys and they don't want that many boys there. They want more girls so that the higher ups can have more wives. And you've got to wear long john type underwear to keep demons from getting in your drawers. I just can't. They were planning the wedding before she even died. Yeah, so tell me again that you fucking loved her, Chad. He continues. Tammy had increasingly severe health issues in the final months of her life, but very few people knew about them. Imagine that. She was an intensely private person who rarely shared personal details with others, much less that her health was suffering. She would put on a brave smile in public and act as if nothing was bothering her. But even those of us who knew about her health struggles never expected her to pass away so suddenly, and her death has somewhat overshadowed the remarkable woman she was. I really don't think that a lot of people expected her to pass away so suddenly at your hands. He continues, I want you to get to know the living, vibrant, beautiful Tammy, who blessed so many people with her talents and unique traits. She was strong, yet so delicate. We were united in our parenting efforts, our religious beliefs, and in the publishing company we operated together for 15 years. She radiated goodness and charisma, generating a positive impact on everyone around her. She was very kind and loving, but especially to children and animals. Oh, completely different from you and your fucking mistress. She was always on the lookout for the underdog who might need a boost in life. Again, completely opposite from him and Lori, in my opinion. Yeah, he told her what to do. I woke up feeling really sick. That's crazy, Bellis. Tammy and I got married in our youth. I was 21 and she was 19. And over the years, we essentially became one. We didn't officially meet until after I returned home from a 2-year LDS church mission to northern New Jersey. I arrived back in my hometown of Springville, Utah in July 1989. And a few days later, I saw my brother's 1988 high school yearbook on his shelf. I flipped it open and saw a student spotlight about a girl named Tammy Douglas. As I looked at her face, I felt a jolt of electricity pass through me. This beautiful girl with a dazzling smile had my attention. Oh my God. I realized she would have been a sophomore when I was a senior, but I couldn't remember her. I wondered how I could find out more about her. I asked my brother if he knew her, and he said she was working that summer for Springville City. I was in luck. Tammy later told me she had been keeping an eye on me since her sophomore year, when I was on the student council. She had watched me perform in the crazy skits we did during school assemblies, and had also kept track of me in the school halls. When I was on my mission, she even told her friends, quote, I'm going to date Chad Daybell when he gets home. I attended a church activity about a week after the yearbook experience, and I spotted Tammy immediately when I entered the room. She was playing volleyball, so I joined the other team. Soon we rotated and found ourselves 5 feet apart, staring through the net at each other. After that moment, she said, I'm going to spike it in your face. I smiled, but the only response I could come up with was, oh yeah? Very eloquent, I know. But in reality, she had left me tongue-tied. Tammy's eyes seemed to sparkle, and I was delighted with this petite, dynamic woman who was clearly spunky as well. I was smitten. When I got home, I couldn't get her out of my mind, so I called her and asked her on a date. I was very relieved and excited when she accepted. Her parents later told me Tammy had happily danced around the living room after she hung up the phone. Our first date went great. We became inseparable right from the start. We were both attending BYU Provo that fall and working part-time, but we spent every spare moment together. We became engaged to be married the night before Thanksgiving. I mean, I'm glad to learn about Tammy, but I don't want to hear it from him at all. That's a good question. Does Chad wear morbid underwear in prison? Totally believable. I try documenting now. Yeah, we should. Tammy's aunt said Tammy had no idea who Chad was. She was pretty and popular, and he was not. Imagine that. He's better, out of a coma, not sure, brain damage yet. It's hard being so far away, but he has lots of friends that are watching him. Good. I'm glad that he's better. Oh, I've been praying for him, and I hope that he gets out of that lifestyle. Okay. I've never heard of any woman dying from premenopause. He's an idiot and was lucky that Tammy and was his faithful wife. Lori was his lust slut. For fuck's sake, I can't with this monster. He's completely delusional, said Wolfpack. I agree. The only reason Tammy went out with Chad is that he was a returned missionary. Her friends and family kept asking her why she was dating a toad. I'm glad to hear it from the other side. He continues. I had been thrilled to discover Tammy loved music as much as I did, including some alternative bands such as Oingo Boingo and Depeche Mode. We loved to blast their songs in the car and sing loudly along. As Christmas approached, I told Tammy I had gotten her a gift she would love, but I had discovered she was a bit of a prankster, and I had become her new favorite target. So I decided to give her a little payback. I had been given a pair of really nice writing pens in a small rectangular box. On Christmas Day, I handed her the wrapped box, and she eagerly opened it. I kept a straight face as she pretended to be happy about the 2 pens. I said, I thought you could use them at work. They're really nice. She nodded and said, Thank you. I love them. She started to put the box aside when I said, maybe you should look underneath the pens. She removed the pens and found 2 front row tickets to an upcoming Oingo Boingo concert. She let out a relieved laugh and then bowled me over, showering me with hugs and kisses. We were married in the LDS temple in Manti, Utah in March of 1990, just over 7 months after we met. We held our wedding reception that evening in the Springville Art Museum, and seemingly half of the town showed up to congratulate us. Tammy was a lovely bride, and I felt like the luckiest man on earth. That's because you were. Toad. Hey, Spencer. I wonder if they will too. Depeche Mode. Yeah, I don't even know. Oingo Boingo. He talks about Tammy like she's the love of his life, but completely ignoring the fact that he told Looney Lori they were godly soulmates and were lovers in their 547,500 million lives. Hoping we never hear. Okay. We rented an apartment in Springville, and we really loved being newlyweds. I had a full scholarship to BYU and worked part-time, and Tammy accepted a full-time secretarial position with the Springville City that paid quite well. So we felt rich. We loved to eat at several favorite restaurants, go to the movies, and just be together. We had a fabulous time at the Oingo Boingo concert, and those first couple of years of marriage, we attended several others, including a very crazy B-52 concert where we danced the night away. Going to concerts continued throughout our marriage, and we would take our kids along as they got older. We also loved to hold family dance parties with our kids in the front room, even after moving to Idaho. Even now, the children tell me they'll get in the car and certain obscure but meaningful songs will often be on the radio, and it feels like Tammy is saying she's nearby. Maybe those songs on the radio are just a coincidence, but either way, it reminds our children of their wonderful mother and the fun we had as a family. I was grateful for Tammy's complete faith and trust in God. In early 2004, I felt we should start our own book publishing company. I knew it would be a challenge, but I sensed it would be very successful. I told Tammy my feelings, and although she was apprehensive about the idea, she agreed to pray about it. In response, she said she received the strongest spiritual confirmation of her life that we should move forward with it. We formed Spring Creek Book Company in the following month, and by the end of 2004, we had published 24 books by several talented authors. We sold our books in hundreds of stores across the United States, including Borders and Barnes & Noble. We published several bestsellers, and over the years, we produced more than 100 books by 55 different authors. We won several awards from bookseller organizations, and Tammy deserved the credit. She was the backbone of the company, and she made great things happen through her promotional ideas and internet marketing. Tammy's mom, Phyllis, joined the company as our lead salesperson, and the two of them were a dynamic duo in selling books. I will stop here, but in the next letter, I will discuss my family's move to Idaho in 2015. Whew. I don't know if I can read all these today. One of my duties as the editor-in-chief of the Spring Creek Book Company was to sort through the many manuscript submissions we would receive. On the company website Tammy had designed, she had created a section on how authors should format their manuscript and the type of topics our company was looking for. As our success grew, we were receiving dozens of manuscripts each month. There were a lot of aspiring authors out there. However, we only had a few openings each year, since many of our authors were writing additional books, but I still looked at each submission just to make sure we weren't missing a diamond waiting to be discovered. I would take the most promising ones home for Tammy to read through, and this team effort worked well in maintaining a high level of quality in our books. It was hard to send rejection letters to those authors we didn't select, but I tried to recommend other publishers who might be a better fit for their books. One day I opened a manila envelope and pulled out a manuscript that immediately caught my eye. It was the story of Willard and Rebecca Bean, who were asked by LSD Church President Joseph F. Smith in the early 1900s to serve a mission in Palmyra, New York, the birthplace of Mormonism. I want to scream right now. Stop it. The problem the Beans faced was that the church members had left Palmyra many years before, and the townspeople certainly didn't want them to return. Oh, really? Really? But the Beans moved to Palmyra, endured initial persecution, and slowly began mending fences, literally and figuratively. Over time, they helped turn around the negative feelings there, purchased historic locations for the church, and finally concluded their mission more than 2 decades later. The manuscript was written by Rand Packer. It was powerful and inspirational. I couldn't put it down. It was one of those rare moments as a publisher when you feel, whoa, this is great. I need to sign this book immediately. The book's title is A Lion and a Lamb, referencing Willard as the bold, sometimes brash lion, with Rebecca as the wise, sweet lamb who won over the town people with her kindness. I took the manuscript home for Tammy to read, and she was enthusiastic about it. We both knew it would be a bestseller. I contacted Rand the next day, and we met. There was an instant connection, like meeting a dear friend. We signed a publishing contract and put the book into production. The initial sales were strong, but then it just kept selling year after year, especially in the LDS bookstore in Palmyra itself. Word of mouth was strong, and rightly so, because it is a genuinely great story of faith and perseverance. All right, Cara, have a good day. Tammy said, I doubt Tammy ever danced in the living room with that man. He seems like the most boring man on earth. I agree. No, I think he was a grave digger. Or was that Lori's creepy ass brother? I think it was both of them. I saw a picture of him. Emma Murray posted it on X at his steel desk, posing as if he were writing, and turned for the camera smiling. He makes my blood pressure rise. Viral erotica is a new one for me. Oh, goodness. Good gracious. Oh, hold on. Okay. We signed a publishing contract and put the book into production. The initial sales were strong, but then it just kept selling year after year. I read that, especially in the LDS bookstore in Palmyra itself. During the same time frame, the accomplished LDS filmmaker T.C. Christensen had released several successful high-quality movies, and he was interested in producing one based on A Lion and a Lamb. The film's title would be The Fighting Preacher, after Willard Bean's tendency to use his fist as well as his tongue to preach the good word. A film deal was reached in July of 2019. The movie had its world premiere in Salt Lake City. Tammy and I were invited as guests at the first screening, and we were very pleased with the film. It has all the elements of drama, humor, and heartfelt emotion that are trademarks of all of TC's films. Quote, The Fighting Preacher had a long run in theaters, a rarity for an LDS film, and is now available on streaming services. After the movie premiere, Tammy and I were invited to meet TC and the film's actors. Rand was there, and we shook hands and smiled at each other as if to say, can you believe where that little manuscript has led us? We felt humble. We had played a role in bringing the Beans story to the world. Let's see. There's a picture of the book. Musical notes. Despite my love of music, I don't play instruments, and my singing skills are barely adequate. I took piano lessons for about a year when I was 8 years old, but I was much more interested in learning to play baseball, and my blossoming music career came to an end. Meanwhile, Tammy had a natural talent for playing instruments. She first learned to play the clarinet. Then she switched to drums when she was part of the Springfield High marching band. When our children began taking piano lessons, Tammy joined in and took the lessons at the same time. Thankfully, Tammy's musical abilities have been passed down to our children, who all follow in her footsteps of learning to play the clarinet. As the 5 kids worked their way through Springfield Junior High, Tammy and I enjoyed a decade's worth of seasonal band performances. Towards the end, we knew these songs pretty well, and we were grateful to Mr. Booth, the band instructor, for the positive influence he was on our children. Some of our children have branched out to the synthesizer, guitar, and singing, and they have produced some wonderful songs. In our family, we have different musical tastes, but one musical group we are united on is the British band Keane, with Tom Chaplin on vocals, Tim Rice Oxley on keyboard, Richard Hughes on drums, and Jesse Quinn on guitar. Their songs just clicked for us. Tammy and I attended the band's first Salt Lake City concert and loved it. And from then on, any Keane concert in Utah became an event for the whole family. After we moved to Idaho, we still traveled back to Springfield regularly. Keane was an essential part of our road trip set list. I believe Keane is currently on hiatus, but our family will always be big fans. One of Tammy's favorite songs is Spiraling, which she loved to sing and dance along with. Enjoy! Enjoy! God almighty. Yeah, definitely not going to heaven. That one there. All right, I'm going to read one more because they say Monday and Thursday, so I imagine a new letter is coming out, and then we'll finish reading the rest of them tomorrow because I've got a couple of updates and other cases we need to talk about before I end today's live stream. Y'all, I can't with this man. I need a cigarette. This is just stupid. Okay. Letter number 3. My previous letter concluded with Tammy and I moving with our children from Utah to Idaho in 2015, and I will continue from that point. We bought a home north of Rexburg in an area known as Salem. Oh, you were living in Salem. Imagine that. Imagine that. Our children were enrolled at either BYU Idaho or Sugar Salem High School, and they made some wonderful friends. Tammy also flourished in our new surroundings. She loved the rural lifestyle with plenty of property to create her own little farm. She'd always had a soft spot for animals, but in Springville, we'd had a small yard that limited the types of pets we could have. However, soon after we arrived in Idaho, Tammy began to assemble an ever growing family of pets, including chickens, pigeons, cats, a rabbit, and of course, Tammy's favorite pet, Indian runner ducks. She named them all and enjoyed caring for them. She also created several garden areas around the property she would carefully maintain. After moving to Idaho, Tammy and I stayed busy running our publishing company. I was the president and editor in chief, while she was the vice president and chief financial officer. I was also making good money writing a weekly online column along with receiving royalties on my published books. We felt blessed. So Tammy didn't need to work beyond her company duties, but several years earlier in Springville, she had taken a part-time position as the computer lab teacher at our children's elementary school. She loved working with the students, and the job was very rewarding for her. And I mean, I'm thinking about that, what he said there. She liked working and being outside of the house, and it was rewarding for her. But he took her away from that, made her focus solely on their business, which, I mean, I get if they're trying to build a company together or whatever. But, like, I seriously doubt he ever took her thoughts or feelings into consideration. Maybe she wanted to continue working with her children. Maybe she wanted to be away from him at some points in life, time outside of the house every day. Miss Woozy said, notice how it's all about Tammy. Tammy did everything and he did nothing. It might be the only honest element of these letters. I agree with that. I can try, Lorianne, but I don't know. It depends. How can he do these? Isn't Son of Sam law in effect? He's not making money off of it, and they made sure he wasn't. His family's putting them out or something. What the fuck did Chat even do? He forced her to leave her lucrative job behind in order to work for half the pay at the school in Idaho. Yep. Probably never asked her what she wanted to do. When we prepared to move to Idaho, Tammy looked for a similar position, and she was hired as the assistant library at the Madison Middle School in Rexburg. She was later hired as the librarian at Central Elementary School in Sugar City, which means she was much closer to our home. And I could always spy on her, in other words. He continues, she also took on the task of creating a computer lab at the school, modeled after the one she'd had in Springville. Okay, that's interesting to me because I thought, well, it might not be a LDS school. I would visit Tammy at the elementary school every couple of weeks. Imagine that. And I helped her out during open house events such as back to school night. It was fun to be greeted by the students as Miss Daybell's husband. Oh, I doubt that. I bet he had a real big problem with being greeted as Miss Daybell's husband. I bet she caught hell for that, if I had to guess. If I could have been a fly on the wall at that time period, I bet he cussed her out for that. Tammy had always strived to be physically fit. Again, why? To impress you? To make you happy? And in Idaho, she turned part of our front room into her workout area. She enjoyed doing yoga, and she liked to play several exercise video games, such as Just Dance, Walk It Out, and Exerbeat. It wasn't until the final year of her life that she started having noticeable physical setbacks. She caught a cold during the holidays, and she battled chest congestion and a deep cough throughout early 2019. She was also experiencing menopause symptoms with regular hot flashes. She was now 48, but she said she felt like she had aged 10 years in just a few months. Her exercise routine faded away, and she became content content to just sit on the couch, watch TV, and work on her laptop. My children and I encouraged Tammy to visit her doctor for a full health exam, but she resisted going. She had grown up with a firm belief in using holistic medicine and natural healing remedies to regain her health. I had seen these methods produce many positive effects over the years, with Tammy having rapid recoveries, but this time it seemed different, as if something had shifted within her body. I regret not being more insistent on her on having her get a physical exam because there were 4 major reasons for concern, and they all got worse as 2009 progressed. First, there were Tammy's lengthy colds and prolonged coughing fits. Second were her lethargy and overall lack of energy. This wasn't the same woman who could work in the garden and care for her animals all evening without stopping. She began using the phrase need to sit down almost daily after any sustained physical activity. The third reason for concern was her swollen joints and bloating in her abdomen. Tammy initially tried to brush off these symptoms as temporary water retention, but they never went away. One day she came up to me and practically lifted up her shirt, partially lifted up her shirt. She grabbed a hold of her belly and said, "Look at this. I can almost hear my guts sloshing around." Around that time, Tammy and my son attended a health wellness fair. They were examined by a nurse who was bothered by how swollen Tammy's legs were and that she had developed varicose veins. The nurse urged her to see a doctor about it, but Tammy refused. I don't believe this. She finally admitted her condition might be more serious when she called me in the bedroom one afternoon. I found her sitting on the edge of the bed, wiping away tears from her eyes. It was late August 2019, and the new school year was about to begin. As she sat on the bed, she had a pair of pants halfway up her legs, and she said, "These pants fit me just fine at the end of the school year. Now I can't get them over my hips." She stood up and demonstrated to me in frustration. None of her other school pants fit either. We went to the store the next day to buy replacements, and she ended up having to go up 2 pant sizes. She was very discouraged about it. She eventually resorted to wearing full-length skirts most of the time to school. Can I just say that, like, maybe that wasn't what was happening? Maybe Chad Daybell was having an affair with Lori at this time, or knew Lori, or whatever. And you know how, like, when people are having an affair, they'll accuse you of having an affair? Maybe he was accusing her of having an affair, and so she started wearing, like, full-length skirts so nobody could see her figure. Maybe he was like, "Oh, you're exercising because you want to leave me," or something to that effect. So she got depressed and stopped exercising. Like, I can see another aspect to all this. He does make royalties off his books no one wants to read. Those are menopause symptoms. Interesting. Heather, I didn't know that. So, okay. The fourth cause of concern was serious fainting spells. Tammy felt her equilibrium was being affected as well as her stamina. It wasn't unusual to find her in the kitchen with both hands on the counter with her head down. She would say, "I'm okay, I'm just a little dizzy." Tammy's first major fainting incident happened in April 2019. She had finished putting the animals away for the night. As she crossed the back driveway, she blacked out and crashed forward onto the asphalt, injuring her wrist. She came into the house and explained what happened, saying her wrist might be broken. I urged her to go to the emergency room, but she refused. She took an herbal remedy instead, and the pain went away in a few days. Again, I use holistic remedies, and there's a lot for menopause and things like that. Kalisa said he is so condescending and mean about her appearance, probably comparing her to Lori. Yep. Abraham said they were having an affair because they were picking out dresses and wedding bands while Tammy was still living. Yep. See? Poison, said Abellis. Possibly. Oh, yep, there it is. In my opinion, he was poisoning her. And they talked about that too, haven't they? That summer, we went to LDS Temple, and during one of the ceremonies, Tammy fainted, collapsing backwards, and then threw up all over the front of her dress. Now that sounds like poisoning. She was very embarrassed as the temple's medical team rushed into the room to care for her. Let me just say that sounded like it to me. Hannah is more of an experienced in the medical field than I am. Like I said, I do holistic and herbal remedies, like way far off from any kind of, I wouldn't be able to tell poisoning if it smacked me in the face, more than likely. I've been through premenopause and now menopause. Notice how men are a lot in these names. They are. Not all of them, but bloating and weight gain is. I think he made up a lot of this crap too, because none of this was brought up in court. And he already explained that in the first letter. Remember, his attorney allegedly made him sit there and not say anything and not smile or anything. So that's what he's going to say is the reason he didn't bring this up. Very true. Tammy had a loving heart, and Lori is fake and all about status, in my opinion. Lori's face is asymmetrical. It's fine on most people, but on her, I find it creepy. I agree. I agree, Abellis. In September, she essentially repeated her fall in the back driveway. She fell in almost the exact same spot and re-injured her wrist. Okay, but at this point, if all this was really going on, why weren't you going out with her to take care of the animals? Like, it's not like you're working a 9-to-5 job every day. You're going to work for the bookstore. Like, you could have went out there and helped her with her animals. Why weren't you? He doesn't voice concern for Tammy at any point, and it was probably Chad who was embarrassed when she threw up. How sad. Oh, I'm glad that you lost it, Lori. They alluded to perhaps he was poisoning her before he actually killed her in trial because one of the letters between him and Lori. She's not aging gracefully. Chad was writing. Yeah, I bet. He was writing with his member all up in Lori. Imagine that. Yeah, so why wasn't he helping her with the animals if all this was going on? When you feel a hot flash coming, go pee immediately. I found that helped. Really? I didn't know that. Her fillers are dissolving. Exactly, Miss Woozy. She's not able to get the work done that she probably used to get. I'm glad I live alone and don't have to worry about being poisoned. Though at times, Rocco be looking at me funny. I don't think Rocco would be doing that. She's not aging like fountain wine. She's aging like an old avocado. Abraham. I hope you don't live alone forever. I know you'll get somebody there other than Rocco, unless you just want to be like that with just Rocco. This time she didn't object when I insisted on taking her to the doctor, who prescribed pain medication and gave her a wrist brace to help heal the damage. I suggested she take a couple of school 6 days to recuperate, but she shook her head and said, "No way. You know how much I hate a substitute messing up the library. I'll just sit there if I have to." From that day on, the setbacks came more frequently. Her nose was running constantly, and she would have sneezing fits. She also began to complain she was having out-of-body experiences. She described how her spirit would hover over her body a few seconds at a time. In early October, one of those incidents happened while I was in the living room and she was in the kitchen. I suddenly heard a loud crash and rushed into the kitchen to find Tammy had actually fainted into the open fridge. She had landed hard against one of the shelves and was slumped down on the bottom half. I helped her stand up and told her I was very worried about her. She just waved her hand and asked me to help her lay down on the couch. The day before she passed away, she came home completely worn out from setting up the displays for the school's upcoming book fair. That evening, she told family members she wasn't feeling well, and later had a bad coughing fit before throwing up. See, again, these symptoms seem more consistent to me with being poisoned. Yeah, it may be better to just stick with Rocco. Right? What a tool. Oh, wow. Perfect, because they stink when they're going bad as well. Yeah. When we went to sleep, and when I woke up the next morning, she had passed away. I will describe that terrible morning and subsequent events in a future letter. But as word spread of her death, everyone was devastated because she had been such a powerful, wonderful influence on so many people. We all felt the loss every day. I miss and love her. Tammy was a true angel on earth, and I know she is still watching over our family. My children and I have felt her presence many times since her death. We sense she is particularly interested in her precious grandchildren. We believe families can be together forever in heaven, and although she has moved on ahead of us, we know we will be reunited with her someday. I doubt it. Not you, sir. Bookshelf. Members of the LDS Church seek to find their ancestors because we believe that if people don't learn about the gospel of Jesus Christ in this life, they will have the opportunity to do so in the spirit world after they die. We believe they will be able to reunite with their loved ones and live as families in heaven. That's why the LDS Church builds beautiful temples across the world, so gospel ordinances can be performed in behalf of our ancestors. Yeah, let's talk about what old Warren Jeffs was doing in those fucking temples. You want to talk about that? Huh, Chad? Lori was getting all that work done with Charles' money, said Kat. Wait, so she fainted and Chad and her adult children didn't take her to the ER. What's happening in this family? All of that sounds indicative of poisoning to me. Throughout the 1990s, that was a key focus for us and our extended family members. We completed the temple work for hundreds of ancestors over a period of years. Then later on, we discovered that a woman named Rachel Marler had been overlooked in our records. Several years had passed since the temple work had been done for Rachel's parents and siblings, and we sensed she was very anxious to join her family in paradise. We submitted Rachel's name for temple work, and when family members performed ordinances in Rachel's behalf, they could feel her presence in the temple as if she was watching them take place. The unusual part came 2 days later when Rachel appeared to Tammy's grandma Lucy. Rachel stood at the end of Lucille's bed, not Lucy, Lucille, as a spirit dressed in white, and she told Lucille how grateful she was that she could now join her family in paradise. One interesting fact is that soon after Rachel visited Lucille, we found an actual photo of her taken in the 1800s. Lucille saw the photo and verified that the woman in the photo was the same woman that had appeared in her bedroom. That is why when I wrote Chasing Paradise, the main family has the last name of Marler, and why Lucille plays a key role. As I wrote the novel, it evolved into a full-blown adventure that takes place on Earth and in the spirit world as a young woman seeks to reunite with her family in paradise. I don't know if that happened either, but if it did, it sounds worse that her family just said, oh, whatever, when their mom is literally passing out in front of them. Make it make sense. Musical notes. Tammy and I enjoyed taking our kids on several day trips each year. One memorable trip was when we decided to visit the city of Preston, where the ultimate Idaho movie, Napoleon Dynamite, was filmed. Our family had watched the film often enough that we could quote the dialogue by heart. Most people can quote that movie. For this little adventure, Tammy printed off an online guide and map that showed locations where key scenes took place. We drove slowly past downtown landmarks and then stopped to take photos next to Napoleon's tetherball pole. Finally, we began our quest to find the Dynamite family home. It was surprisingly quite a ways out of town, but we found it. Growing up, the song Private Idaho by the B-52s was my main connection to the Gem State. But that song is clearly not a fair representation of the lifestyle or the musical taste of eastern Idaho, where Rexburg is located. A better fit is Tim McGraw's Where the Green Grass Grows. Just replace the line about his corn popping up in rows with spuds, and it works. I love driving my truck along the Fremont County back roads with the windows rolled down, potato fields on every side, and the Grand Tetons in the distance. I just remembered one detail. It snows about 9 months of the year, but we certainly stayed busy during the winter. Our youngest son was in high school prep band and was also a star in the school musical, and it was fun to watch him as we sat among our friends and neighbors. I enjoyed cheering for the Sugar Salem athletic teams. The snow would melt for a while and we would explore the outdoors such as Mesa Falls or float down the Henry Forks River. 3 of my children are raising their families in the Rexburg area, and I'm grateful my grandchildren will grow up in a peaceful place with good people where the green grass grows. God almighty. All right, I'm done with it. Woo. That's sweet. I'm done with that for now. We'll continue it at some other time. Okay. I've got an update in the Bibb County 7 case. So let's talk about that. Now, that's one that I've been following closely and put out videos about. I've been following this case very closely and trying to keep up with it because it's just a horrific case of child trafficking. Excuse me. So I found this article today. Let's see what this says.
Commission's plan for the redistricting of the county as
Oh no. It reads just horrific. What we know so far about the Bibb County bunker case. Oh yeah. Okay. So we can play this video.
Did you know your car?
I don't want to know, honestly. Well, there's a brand power ad about coffee. Hold on. Buy Java House today.
We're helping you buy better.
what we know about the case and an investigation.
Crap.
Disturbing details emerging from the woods of Bibb County, a story that began with a single call to authorities and ended with a dark discovery beneath the ground. Now, multiple people stand accused of unspeakable crimes against children as young as 3. Now, we want to hear from you. How can communities better protect children? Scan the QR code on your screen or go to ABC 30.
So you can scan the code, but it's a viewer poll. How can communities better protect kids? The options are report concerns early, support victims' family, 0% for that, 62% for report concerns early, push for stronger laws, it's 13%, and demand accountability is 25%. Why can't we do all of that? Like, my answer would be all of it.
3340.com to vote. The I-Team, Valerie Bell, takes you inside the case, rocking a rural community to its foundation.
Down a dirt road off Aaron Drive near Brent, Alabama, tucked away in the trees, what investigators call a crime scene like no other.
I cannot think of a way to describe it other than just horrific.
Those words from Bibb County Sheriff Jody Wade describing a case that has rocked his community. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, ma'am.
It began February 4th with a tip about possible child abuse. What investigators uncovered was far worse. At least 10 children ages 3 to 15, allegedly victims of rape, trafficking, and sexual torture. The abuse allegedly happened inside a hidden underground bunker once built as a storm shelter.
And it involved a lot of their families. Kalisa said about Chad, listening to Chad blather on about himself makes me feel so bad for Tammy. Having to listen to this toad for 20 years really shows how little her family cared about her, and so sad how she was treated. Twisted trash. Yeah, this case is insane. I've got a couple of videos out about it.
That never leaves your mind. And, when you have those times when it's just kind of dark and quiet and it's just you and your thoughts, there's things you never forget in law enforcement.
8 suspects in this case face more than 100 felony counts combined.
Some of the victims, the offenders, were their parents and different relatives and things like that.
Here's what we know about each one. Olivia Shaley Elam charged with 5 counts of first-degree rape, 9 counts of sodomy, 9 counts of human trafficking of minors, 9 counts of kidnapping, 1 count of aggravated child abuse and sexual torture of a child under 12. Elam has no significant previous history. William Chase McElroy, charged with 4 counts of first-degree rape, 6 counts of sodomy, 6 counts of trafficking, and 4 counts of kidnapping. Law enforcement says he admitted to inappropriate contact with a child. No major criminal history noted before this case. Dalton Terrell facing 5 counts of rape, 7 counts of sodomy, 6 counts of trafficking, and 4 counts of kidnapping. Investigators say he confessed to unlawful sexual activity. Rebecca Brewer, charged with first-degree rape, 8 counts of trafficking, 8 counts of kidnapping, and 3 counts of sexual torture. Ricky.
If you wanted to see, like, this video is about it. In this video, it's called Ungodly Extreme Trigger Warning Court Documents on the Bibb County 7, now 8. That's where I read the court documents, and it goes over exactly what they did. This one talks about what the victims had to say, the children recounting the things that happened to them. Those are the videos that I had on that case in particular, and I'm keeping up with it to the best of my ability.
Terrell, charged with first-degree rape and sexual torture of a child less than 12. He has prior drug arrests. Sarah Louise Terrell, charged with 1 count of sexual torture and 2 counts of child sexual abuse under 12. Timothy St. John, with prior arrest for theft, burglary, and drug offenses, now charged with 2 counts of rape, 4 counts of sodomy, 4 counts of trafficking, 3 counts of kidnapping, 1 count of bestiality, and 1 count of cruelty to animals. Andres Trejo Velasquez, charged with 6 counts of trafficking, accused of sending explicit images and connecting victims with offenders. The Department of Homeland Security confirms HSI helped in his arrest and adds that he's a verified member of the Serenos gang. Together, investigators say the group allegedly orchestrated a systematic and coordinated operation, arranging so-called appointments in the bunker for child sexual exploitation.
As you start, turning over more rocks, that just more things develop. And fortunately, I think everything in this particular case is what we know we've got handled right now as far as the children and the suspects.
Back in July, prior to a gag order being issued prohibiting law enforcement and attorneys from speaking with the media, District Attorney Robert Turner Jr. assured the case was a top priority.
We're going to do everything that we can to make sure that justice is meted out in this case.
While law enforcement continues its investigation.
Do you believe that there are more victims or suspects out there?
That will be hard to say. We're still looking to see if there are. We're not aware of any
I don't know why I was
victims
muted.
that have not been identified. So we're now just trying to run down any more possible offenders, even if they could be from out of state or somewhere that may have traveled here.
I wanted to say, I don't know if I was muted when I said it, but they are trying to change the law so that anybody that RAPES a child is automatically looking at the death penalty.
With this case involving children, Jacksonville State University instructor in the social work department, Stephanie Griffin, explains the impact.
The trauma is there. Every case of abuse has a different level of trauma, but you have to think about those young children. They're learning to trust adults, and who can I trust, and how do I trust, and that completely breaks that down for them, and they need to go through some extensive therapy.
Griffin says treatment won't be one size fits all, but therapy and coping sessions will be crucial.
Like you mentioned.
Yeah, those children are in need of therapy, and I'm hoping they get the therapy that they need and they can heal from this. Abellis, oh my goodness, thank you so very much for gifting 20 Speculation Station memberships. That was so very sweet and supportive of you, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I can't express how grateful I am to you for that. Thank you. Those memberships went to Naomi, Little Red, Cat's Eye, Lily C, Cracker Jacks, Ruby Joy, Kim in Colorado, Gam to 3, Steve Simp, Gaynor Truly, Carolina Chartier, Patricia Ann, Gold Girl 19, Dana Bow, Newsworthy Spike, Ice Macchiato, My Little Family, Carolyn D, Rick Astor fan page, Rick Ashley fan page, and Big H. Welcome to Speculation Station to our new members, and Abellis is the one that gifted you a membership, so please tell her thank you. Thank you so very much, Abellis. I can't express to you how grateful I am. That helps out so very much. I'm going to grab the Polar Express to pick y'all up. And thank you again so very much, Abellis. That was so sweet. Thank you. Thank you, Abellis. Basil's demanding attention. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. I think I have some to give away too. We'll go there in just a second.
Family members who should be the people that we can trust. And so there's a significant level of trauma that is there for those kids. And the idea would be that they receive some intensive therapy that is available in most counties at child advocacy centers for free.
And for the children involved in this Bibb County case, Sheriff Wade says the children are safe now and are undergoing counseling.
With the Department of Human Resources being involved, they're able to get those children to a safe place, make sure their mental and physical needs are met, get them into the counseling that's going to be best to help them have as a normal life as they possibly can following that point.
In Bibb County, Valerie Bell, ABC 3340 I-Team.
Oh.
And let's go back to our poll question. We asked, how can communities better protect children? Now, there's still time to vote. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to AC 30.
Oh, it moved.
Download the Wonder Fan app. It pays.
No, thank you. I think that's pretty much what do y'all want to say? Report concerns early, push for stronger laws, support victims' families, or demand accountability? You can let me know and I will vote on it. Yeah, this is just where they go over, like it reset. It says what they said in the video again. So I'll leave that up and y'all can let me know what you want to vote for. Blue Jay did mention about Leilani Simon, and yes, it is true. Convicted homicider Leilani Simon is now seeking a new trial after being found guilty of the homicide of her 20-month-old son, Quentin Simon, whose body was found in a landfill. Her attorney argues that key statements she made to police and certain evidence were wrongfully admitted. What do you think? Remember, we got phone calls from her and her mama after prison and things like that when she was in jail. That's what that was about. So I said they're saying, how can communities better protect kids? Report concerns early, push for stronger laws, support victims' families, or demand accountability. Yay for the gifted. Demand accountability. Okay. Got one for demand accountability. I'll wait just a minute to see what y'all say. I think I do have memberships that I can gift that I need to do real quick, and we'll move on. I got one more thing in the Liam King case to update you guys on. Where is it? Yep. I got 5 now. Nope. Okay. So those memberships went to Alzita, Brenda, I Am a Real Ginger, Carolyn, DT Stacy, and Crazed of 5, Bendy Wendy, Flee the Matrix, Caitlin, and Trish. Welcome to Speculation Station. New members. Demand accountability is what y'all are saying. Demand accountability. Hold CPS accountable for their failures. I agree. All right, so we're going to vote demand accountability. That's 19%. Most people are saying still report concerns early. Then is push for stronger laws. Then is demand accountability. And then after that is support victims' families. All right. How about keeping track of children so they don't fall through the cracks with homeschool, CPS cases moving counties, foster kids getting in dangerous homes? I agree. Welcome to Speculation Station, new members. All right, I've got 2 more documents about Liam. Liam King was missing from Randolph County, and then he was found in a pond. And I don't know if you guys remember, but we were looking at the road maps and a lot of things in the area. Allegedly, they came out and said that he was staying with a family member, and then all of a sudden it was mom's boyfriend, and mom wasn't at the house. Lots of questionable things. Excuse me. This reads, Randolph County community grieves the loss of 7-year-old Liam King. Randolph County, North Carolina. The Randolph County community is grieving after the tragic loss of 7-year-old Liam King. Liam went missing Sunday morning from his mom's boyfriend's house on Forest Hill Drive. A search crew found him in a pond Tuesday afternoon. Now people are feeling the weight of his loss. Quote, our prayers just went, hold on, I'm going to pause that and play the video. Our prayers just went up that they would find him and find him alive, but it didn't turn out that way, and it's so sad, said a community member, Ava Craven. Okay, why can't I? Hold on. I didn't understand why I couldn't play it. Okay, now I can. But we have to wait for this advertisement to go away. I feel really bad. Oh my goodness. Snarky Pants, thank you so much for the $9.99 super sticker. Oh, look at the little hippo in the chair. I want a chair like that. I'm going to get one day. They're so cute. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate the support. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Kim said, demand accountability. Thank you. Oh, hold on. You guys are amazing, and thank you so very much for the support. It helps out so much. Thank you so very much. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, this is about Liam King.
Well, people in Randolph County and across our coverage area
Thank
are
you.
still grieving
I do
the
too.
story. What we were covering as breaking news in this newscast yesterday, the tragic loss of Liam King. Liam, of course, disappeared Sunday morning from his mom's boyfriend's house on Forest Hill Drive in Asheboro. He was 7 years old. Good evening. I'm Neil McNeil.
I'm Katie Nordine. A search crew found his body in a pond yesterday, and Fox 8's Gretchen Stinger spoke with community members. So, Gretchen, what did they tell you?
Heartbreak and devastation. These are the words that I've continuously heard throughout the day, and that is how people are feeling in this community. Most of the people I spoke to say that they didn't know Liam and they don't know his family, yet this loss is very heavy.
Oh,
our prayers just went up that they would find him and find him alive, but it didn't turn out that way, and it's so sad, so sad.
Ava Craig.
That was the public safety alert. Our family was together on Sunday night, and we got the information that came across our phone. So Liam A. King, a white male, age 7, last seen wearing a light blue, black, and gray Nike sweatshirt, gray Nike t-shirt, black sweatpants, blue Sonic socks, and tan tennis shoes. Liam left the Forest Hill Drives area on foot. He suffers from cognitive impairment and is nonverbal.
Raven says the moment she got this message Sunday evening, alerting her that 7-year-old Liam King had disappeared, it's all she could think about. Now she's sympathetic to those who were closest to him, especially as a parent. Mike Craven says while he's working at the Flea Marketeers of Asheboro, he knows he'll hear firsthand just how much this has impacted the community.
Well, a lot of people talk about it. It's sad, especially when you have grandchildren that are that age or older, and you've had children that age before.
Christy Wallace, the wellness administrator for Randolph County, is now working to bring support to those who were on the scene, searching for more than 48 hours. From law enforcement to the emergency management team, who might not have ever set foot on the scene, because every single person involved can feel this grief.
Yeah, we had covered this case of like last week or something to that effect. He was found in the pond close to the house not long after he was reported missing.
Started on a weekend. So many of these people are called from their families. They arrive on scene. They are 100% present. And the effort itself, 24 hours passed, 48 hours passed. And here we are beyond that 48-hour mark. And while we've seen a little bit of closure for some first responders, it just started.
While Liam has been found, an investigation is only in its early stages. Now the county calls in their CISM team, Critical Incident Stress Management.
That is an opportunity for all first responders in any capacity to this event to come together and to debrief.
Oh, I guess that was the end of that news clip. Maybe.
Unfortunately, we lost Gretchen's picture there. We appreciate her reporting.
Open the good time
Hold on.
with Kitchen Mama.
No, thank you. Okay, so I had that update and I've got one more on Liam. Maybe. Hold on. Yeah, we talked about it last week, but then after he was found, I haven't talked about it much since then. I don't understand why it didn't pull it up. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Okay. This reads, after 7-year-old's death, questions raised about tracking bracelets for children with autism. Guilford County uses tracking bracelets. Could they have helped in Randolph County? What is this? Oh my God, stop. Jeez Louise.
The discovery of 7-year-old Liam King's body in Randolph County yesterday. We are learning more about the moments after he disappeared.
The 911 calls are just too difficult to share, but in them, Liam's mother's boyfriend told dispatchers that he was inside watching the little boy when Liam suddenly ran out the door. WFMY News 2's Amber Lake takes a closer look at a program that families and deputies say could make a life-saving difference in situations like this.
Yeah, Lori Ann, he was found in a lake close to his house, unfortunately, and he was deceased, which was really sad for everybody. Very sad. But yeah. It always says blue water, it smells fresh. How do 8 people sit around and think this is okay? Oh, yeah, Brenda, you might be a little behind, but yeah, I don't know. Meth.
The Randolph County Sheriff said that a tracking bracelet could have brought Liam King home sooner. The Guilford County Sheriff's Office already uses a program like that, so I sat down with them today to learn how it works.
Parents of children with autism know just how fast a normal day can turn into a nightmare. The Randolph County Sheriff says if 7-year-old Liam King had a tracking bracelet, the search might have ended sooner.
Hannah, thank you for being a member for 6 months. That is amazing. That is awesome. You've been with us for 6 months. Whoop, whoop. That's awesome. Thank you for all that you do. I feel like I don't thank you moderators enough. And I can't express my appreciation to you all for what you do. Thank you so much for being here as much as you guys are able to and helping the channel out so much. It helps extensively. And thank you so much. And thank you for being a member for 6 whole months. Yeah, suddenly ran out the door. I've got questions, and they talk about it being an investigation, so I suppose we'll have to wait and see.
But as one High Point mom explains, even the best technology doesn't always work as expected.
Many families have invested in, like locating devices if you can afford them, But it's often hard. You know, a lot of our guys have sensory issues. And so if you put a little sensor in a jacket or something, they can take the jacket off and then it doesn't help anymore.
That's why some families rely on layered protection, locks on doors, alarms, and community programs like Project Lifesaver when it's available. Guilford County already uses it and says it's made a difference in helping locate children with cognitive impairments who wander off.
It helps us reunite families who have loved ones who suffer from different cognitive issues.
For parents, though, the bigger message is understanding. It's a reminder that solutions have to account for safety and for the very real sensory struggles that children face.
The Guilford County Sheriff's Office says that Project Lifesaver has already helped them find missing children and missing dogs. They've been using this program for 15 years. Reporting in Guilford County.
Oh, wow. So Guilford County is going to be out towards the beach. Asheville is not. It's like kind of a little bit more towards the mountains. But if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure. I think that could have helped a lot in this case. I think that maybe we could have found him before he traveled down there. I think we are all dinky at times. Sometimes I'm like, good Lord, where is my mind? You know? Yeah, we'll continue reading the letters from Chad, and I'll put the link on my Patreon to the website. But anyways, I'm going to go for the day so I can start cooking dinner. And I want to thank you guys for being here, and thank you for all of the amazing, profound support that you guys have shown. I can't express how grateful I am to you guys for hanging out with me every day as we talk about all of these cases and share our thoughts, opinions, and speculations on them, and just your generosity and your kindness. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I will definitely be back tomorrow, and we'll talk about more interesting topics. Abraham said, I think we all need to realize that this can happen to us too, or to someone around us. This is why I think some folks get careless. They don't grasp what we are not accepting, except from tragedy. They don't grasp what we are not, except from tragedy. I agree. Exempt from tragedy. Okay. It can happen to anybody. Blue Jay, thank you so much for the super sticker. Oh my goodness. Oh, it says thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Blue Jay. That was so very sweet of you. Thank you so very much. I greatly appreciate that so very much. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. You guys are amazing and so very sweet. Thank you. I hope you guys have a good night, and I will definitely see y'all back tomorrow. Like Abella said, be safe, speculating family. It is in order. And Blue Jay, you rock. Yes. Basil is good. He has been here with us the whole time, demanding attention left and right, and he's eating his crackers right now. Aw. Thank you guys for making it a safe space as well and being respectful of everybody's thoughts, opinions, and speculations. Abraham, you won't catch me around that damn toilet. Not since about damn 10 years ago. You won't catch me back there. Hell to the no. All right, y'all. If nobody has told you, you are enough. You are important. You are special, and you are loved. And thank you again. I see you said you're welcome. Blue Jay, thank you again. I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.